Need parts now? O'ReillyAuto.com offers in-store pickup, same-day home delivery, or next-day home shipping. Get more parts your way at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For free. Just go .com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
Game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
All right, so here we are, 205-342-9904. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Parker Brailsford announcing publicly that he is coming back. We had heard that. I know Jackson and I had talked about that. I couldn't talk about it on the air. I'd rather a player, you don't want to destroy their highlight, right? I mean, it's their moment. To be able to say I'm coming back for another season. Parker Brailsford, a guy that had a great season. Last year he was a freshman All-American. Certainly played to a level that improved that position. And Seth McLaughlin moving to Ohio State had a great season up there as well. So you look at it, both situations, Alabama able to get a Parker Brailsford. I will tell you that offensive line, you're going to hear some more good news about that offensive line. I know there's multiple guys that have other options that are choosing to stay in Tuscaloosa. We'll leave it at that. We'll let those guys highlight when they're ready to highlight. But that's the big thing. If you look at the players, does it create a little bit of a loyalty? Because we talk about losing loyalty. We talk about losing allegiance to a certain player because teams float in and float out and the rosters are changing. But when you look at the guys that are staying, doesn't that create a little bit of a bond between the Alabama Crimson Tide fans and the fans that are not able the players that leave and go and depart? Because, there is a lot of money that is being thrown out there in the world of college athletics. That will be one of the things that we'll dive into. We'll talk about it. And I think it says a lot about your culture coming back, but also like players like Jahad Campbell talking about it. We'll play some of the audios we travel throughout the afternoon talking about playing in the bowl game. The guy that is a projected, we talked about it yesterday with Dalton Wasserman, from ProFootballFocus.com. But one of the things that we will dive into is we'll talk about it from a culture standpoint. I think Kalen DeBoer is building that. Rome wasn't built overnight. It wasn't rebuilt overnight. But when you look at Jahad Campbell saying that he will play in that bowl game, and that also that a lot of these players saying that there's not going to be a lot of opt-outs. And I think that is a positive sign when you talk about the chemistry that they've been able to build. And I know it didn't pay off with the college football playoff appearance. It probably should have, but it didn't. But I think that's a good reflection on what is being established here in Tuscaloosa, reestablished. And I think we do take a lot of the early Nick Saban dynasty and where Alabama was able to win at a high level. And then they were able to really tailed off. I mean, is that a fair statement? I think it is, Jackson. I think the dynasty, it failed. I'm not saying it failed, but it really trailed off at the back end, like the early part. I mean, remember, they had won in 2020, the COVID year. But then some injuries, we can blame all that, but it had, in our mind, we loop it together and we apply it to current day. And if Nick Saban would have come back, a lot of people have asked me the question, what would he have done different? I think Alabama would have beat Vanderbilt on the road. I think they would have played better in some of those games. But also keep in mind, those penalties that were a problem, they were a problem last year. That was a problem, this football team last year. So when I look at this dynasty that was built in Nick Saban, you can see some things building here in Tuscaloosa. I don't know if you'll ever have the run that Alabama was 3 out of 4, back-to-back, 2 and 3, and 3 and 4, and all these different things. I think that stuff is gone. I don't think you're going to see that.
Do you think that anything having to do with the way the 2021 national championship game went, maybe if Saban was able to pull that win out of the bag, and maybe that's what he ended on.
Well, and also keep in mind, 2020, we had a great football team.
Amazing football team.
Great football team.
Probably
but
the
let
best
me tell you
that
how
he's
they
had.
beat people in that year. They beat people because they managed COVID a lot better.
Yes.
The medical science team, whether it was Jeff Allen, all the doctors, the COVID staff that had developed on how to try to limit that spread. To me, that's something that we give enough credit, but I don't know if we give enough credit. We give some credit, but we don't give. 2020 to me, like I said, was a great football team. It was a 10-0 in the SEC. You played 10 conference games, but I also go back and you look at that 2020 team. The enhancement was like when we played Ohio State, we played them, and I think they had like 19 players that were out with COVID. Now, I'm not taking anything away, but that game would have probably been a little bit more competitive. We'd still won the game, but I think from an Alabama standpoint, we beat a lot of teams because we were better than you, but we also outmanaged the COVID situation. We were a step ahead. And I remember Pete Jenkins, which was a consultant on that year's team. He came in and told us, he said he'll never forget the day after, and I know we're on a way different topic. I didn't even expect to go down. He said the day after COVID was announced that where we were all learning, well, what do we do? What is this quarantine stuff? What do you mean 6 feet away from somebody and all this? He said he came in the next morning. He was here in Tuscaloosa. Spring practice was going to start on a Friday, and Pete Jenkins was in that room with Nick Saban. He said he came in the next morning, and he wrote out a plan at 7:30 of how they were going to deal with COVID. That this guy had spent all night researching how to quarantine and all the different things that they had done. And he said he laid out a plan. That day, they won the national title. Even though that was in the spring, he said, but they laid out a plan of how they were going to manage it. So never taking anything away from that 2020 team, but also giving credit to that medical staff and Coach Saban's plan when you look at 2020. But we have seen it kind of tail off a little bit. Now we're trying to see it reestablish. That'll be one of the things that we'll dial into. But I want to give overall grades to Kalen DeBoer today. We did offense. We did defense. Now I'm going to ask you the grade of the head coach. When you look at this, and judge it all. Judge it all. Not just this season, but the recruiting side of things, managing, to me, what I have labeled as the hardest job in the history of sports. It wasn't when Bill Belichick left the New England Patriots. It wasn't when Phil Jackson left the Chicago Bulls. Nick Saban retired, and that void that was left. Because remember when for the first 2 or 3 days, we were like, what's next? What's next? He was almost that balancer that allowed to stabilize that water a little bit, to find out, hey, we're okay. We're okay. So that'll be one of the things that we'll dial into, and we'll talk about it coming up. Rodney Orr is going to join us. We'll talk about the transfer portal, some things that we're hearing, some additional guys. And then if you had a Christmas list, what would you like for that transfer portal to give? Dear transfer portal, I would love to have
NC State's wide receiver.
Is that what you would love to have?
Yeah.
Dear Santa, I am requesting this. Dear transfer portal, would you love to have, by the way, they got a tight end on campus too. Never mind. I was going to say something. Never mind. I'll just back on out of that for just a couple of minutes. But
as many D linemen as possible.
So let's talk to Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, the editor, the founder, the incredible website, Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com. Rodney Orr, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's a lot of different things to talk about. I guess we'll start with Parker Brailsford coming back. That's a big addition to this Alabama Crimson Tide offensive line.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, again, he had a great year. You get a veteran center back with all the experience that he has. You just can't really kind of put a value on that. I think it's just, to be able to have him, to have that experience and the quality player that he is really big. It's a great start for your offensive line. And it looks like, Ryan, everything we hear is most of those guys are going to be back. So next year, looking forward to having a really good offensive line.
All right. What does it say about this Alabama culture when you have a Jihad Campbell, somewhat of an early NFL draft pick that says, no, it's not even a question. I'm going to be playing this bowl game. We've seen it before, but I think this is a different era of college football. What does it say about this culture?
Well, I think it goes back to things that Coach Saban used to talk about and, the things, the culture that he built. A lot of these guys obviously played for him. He recruited those guys. But when Bryce Young, stuck it out and played, had a great finish there with, 5 touchdown passes in his last game, I think it was, Will Anderson, other players throughout the years. So the foundation's been laid, but to see, Kalen DeBoer come in and in his first year, you've got these players that are, kind of carrying on that tradition of that culture. I think it's really important. I think it says great things about the future, hopefully, of Alabama football.
Yeah, and it's a big thing when you look at recruiting, certainly supplement it, but this transfer portal, Rodney, give me an update. What are you hearing?
Well, I know they're in on some guys. They've got some visitors coming in, scheduled to visit. Kevin Concepcion is a fantastic receiver out of North Carolina State. Ryan, 2 years ago as a true freshman, I think he was the only player in the country that caught passes for over 750 yards and also rushed for over 250 yards. Just to say that again, 750 yards, over 750 receiving, and over 250 rushing. They used him a little bit at running back. So he's a really versatile player and caught 71 balls as a true freshman. I think he came back with like 53 this past year, not quite the same numbers, but he's still been very productive. He scored 16 touchdowns in these 2 years. He was the ACC Freshman of the Year a couple of years ago. Some people had him the National Freshman of the Year. So he's coming in for a visit this weekend. I know he's got other schools on his list. I know that talking to a few people, there was some hope that maybe he comes in for the visit and closes it down. So we'll see what happens. But, Luke Haas from Arkansas, the tight end, I remember when he was being recruited out of Bixby, Oklahoma a couple of years ago, he chose Arkansas over Alabama. And, he's a really good player. He's about 6'3", 240. I'm really impressed with him as a receiver. And so we'll see. He's been injured a little bit at Arkansas on and off over the last 2 seasons. But hopefully Alabama pulls him in. That'd be a big, big coup. And then Kelby Collins, defensive lineman, 4-star rated player coming out of high school, Gardendale, as you remember, chose Florida over Alabama and some others coming out. Now he's looking for a new place. He had 6 tackles last year at Florida. He had 23 as a freshman. So he's a guy that keep an eye on him, 6'4", 280. I think Alabama really needs to hit that portal on the defensive line. That's just me. Ryan, there's some other guys that have been kind of associated or linked to Alabama. We'll just have to see how that all kind of pans out. But I'm sure the portal is going to be really big in terms of filling out this roster.
Yeah, you brought up defensive linemen, but Rodney, you have evaluated recruiting for a long time. Are we just not seeing enough players in the defensive line, or is it just simply we're not getting those guys?
Well, first of all, they're really hard to find. That's why there's some elite ones, and then there's guys that you really can get, and you can develop them. Some schools do a really good job of developing. They get guys that have the size, or maybe they don't have the weight on them, but they fill them out. They develop them in the weight room, and they're well coached. They're well schooled on the practice field, and they develop into really good players. And then you have guys like, you look at what Georgia's recruited, and not only does Georgia recruit great defensive linemen, but they help them kind of develop to their potential. And I'd say that about some other schools as well. As far as Alabama goes, they've had some good recruiting classes on the defensive line. I mean, James Smith, Tim Smith, those guys were 5-star type rated players. Damon Payne was pretty highly recruited and pretty highly rated. And again, you could go down the list. They've had some guys that really, were up there. And again, I think sometimes it's about just development. And, we'll see how, these guys continue to develop that they have right now. But I just think it's a position, as you look at Alabama, I think Alabama recruits at an elite level at every single position. And, they've gotten some good defensive linemen. Jordan Renaud would be another one. But they've gotten some good defensive linemen, maybe not quite on the level of some of these other schools like Georgia.
We're talking right now with Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Now I'm going to ask you the $1 million question because, Rodney, everywhere I go, the question is about quarterbacks. I want to go back to Dylan Lonergan putting his name in the portal yesterday. That was a shock to me. Was it to you?
Well, I'll put it to you this way, Ryan. I was hoping he wouldn't, because I think he's a really good player. I think he's got a lot of ability, a lot of potential. But I understand if he's got an opportunity that he feels like he can take and go somewhere else and maybe be a starter right away. I'm not really sure. I think he could have competed to do that here. I really do. I think, obviously if Milroe leaves, which a lot of people expect that to happen, most people seem to believe that. Then I think that, Ty Simpson's been around. Certainly nobody's entitled to anything. He's going to have to earn it. But it would have been a really good competition to see Ty and Dylan and also Austin Mack, who's got a lot of potential. And then you've got the freshman, Keelan Russell, coming in that I think is going to, certainly has the potential to compete, this spring. So, I wish Dylan would have stuck around, but you certainly understand, what his thinking might be.
Yeah. Well, you do look at that quarterback side of things and, you hear good things about Austin Mack. You hear good things about Ty Simpson. But, I think the one area, and I would imagine that Jalen Milroe would go to the NFL, but nothing officially. I mean, he was not very, said he's not made that decision. That was a little bit of an early morning buzz this morning that, and then it went right into the practice and then the media availability, he confirmed that he has not made that decision. So you would expect he would go in the NFL, but at this point it's hard to guess. And in this current college football, I don't know if I'm willing to predict anything.
Yeah. You're right, Ryan. People want predictions on this portal and predictions on whether or not someone's going to go pro or whatever. It's unpredictable because you really don't know. I think that people are always evaluating what's the best way to get where you want to go or where you want to be. And sometimes guys think, well, I'm going, and then they come back for a year or whatever. So you're certainly always trying to evaluate what's your best options. I really think if you made me, kind of guess now, I think Milroe's probably going to be, I would expect him to go to the NFL. If you look at it, and again, I understand these rankings change, but he's probably considered one of the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft.
He is.
Which means he's a second round, and with his athletic ability, there could very easily be a team that says, you know what, we're going to take a gamble on him a little bit and draft him in the first round. That certainly could happen. I don't see I never really saw that Anthony Richardson was much better prospect than Jalen Milroe necessarily. But again, I know the NFL people see things a lot better than I do, but I could see with his athleticism, somebody snagging him up.
And that's the one thing about the NFL. And I was talking to an NFL analyst a couple of days ago, just sent him a couple of messages, and he said, I think he's a late first rounder, early third round.
There you go.
You almost wonder, Rodney, from this standpoint, you almost wonder if he can improve upon that. Yeah, he can have a Georgia game, but that was an outlier when you look at his career. That was one of his all-time games. I don't know if he can sustain that type of success.
Ryan, I don't know. You may have the stat here. It may be post-Georgia, maybe include Georgia. I just don't have it off the top of my head. But I think in SEC play, and I think it was post-Georgia, he had 5 touchdown passes. That doesn't include Mercer. That just includes the SEC games. He had 5 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions. I think that's the stat.
Rodney, I thought it was in SEC play this year. Oh, Lord, you get me in trouble now. I'm going to get all these hate messages. His touchdown in SEC games this year, he threw for 5 touchdowns in SEC play, and he threw for 10 interceptions in SEC play. That's overall.
That's
overall. In 8 games in the league, he had 5 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions.
And of course, he did produce a lot of touchdowns with his legs.
Absolutely.
And so forth.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, but yeah, I think that's the one thing. And I think, too, when you look at that, Ryan, and look, let's be honest. You might as well talk and tell the truth. And the fact is that that's not Kalen DeBoer's offense. That's not his style of offense. He needs a quarterback that can run his system. and he needs a quarterback who can throw the football. Now, whether there's another Michael Penix or whatever, I don't know. But you do need somebody that can execute what you want to do. And the transition year is now over. It's over. I mean, this is they've got Michigan coming up, and I think Kalen DeBoer did a great job in the recruiting the last 2 years. Both being able to hold that class together like he did last year was phenomenal. And I think he did a great job in the portal. And once the season started, there were some real highs. There were some really impressive performances, and then there were some lows. But let me say this too, Ryan. First of all, you got to remember, he doesn't have the roster. He did not have the roster that he wanted. These aren't excuses. When you're evaluating, you have to look at both sides of the ledger, right? And I mean, you have to say, okay, he didn't really have the quarterback that he wanted, and that's not a knock on Milroe. He's not that style. He needs receivers that fit his system. He needs all the players, and not to mention just getting here when he did and all the things that was required in the transition. And then you're learning your players are learning you. You're still trying to get acclimated to everything. It's really tough in that first year. So to go 9-3, to have some ups and downs, that's not really necessarily unexpected. That doesn't really bother me very much. But now I think you're looking at, okay, that's over with. You've got to get your roster like you want it. You've got the avenue with the portal. You've done a great job of recruiting. You've got to get your staff like you want it. Is your staff like you want it? If not, I don't think you should hesitate. Pull the trigger. I mean, because the clock's running right now. It's ticking. And I think that you need to make sure you got the guys, you got the position coaches that you want. I think all of those things are important heading into year 2.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask you this, because this is the theme of the day, and we're going to take callers at 205-342-9904. We'll take those immediately following Rodney Orr. What grade would you give Kalen DeBoer for this last 12 months?
Well, I mean, again, I would say all the things I mentioned before the season, I gave him an A+. All the things leading up to the season, I gave him an A+. I think he did a fantastic job. That's just my opinion. I don't see everything. And I don't know everything, okay? But I mean, when you talk about the recruiting, how he held it all together, and to go get a guy like Ryan Williams after he decommitted, that was a tough deal. The transfer portal, the guys he brought in, everything I saw, and again, not inside the building, but just from the peripheral, it looks like he did a fantastic job to me in those areas. Okay, but now once the season started, like I said, there's going to be some ups and downs. If you just look at it and say, if I said like it was year 3, I would have said, well, you know what, that's probably a C-, or maybe, a C-. That would probably, but if I look at it and say, okay, it's the year that it is, it's the transition year, I would say probably I would give him probably given all those circumstances, a B-, C+, somewhere in there. And again, that's not really bad considering it's a transition year. And this is the most difficult transition there's been in college football in a long time. And I think you have to consider all of that. It's a tough deal he walked into. And people say, well, he was left with this great roster. No, how many of those guys left last year? I don't know. What'd they lose? 30? Ryan, was it 30?
It was almost, if not right at it. Yes.
Okay, think about this, Ryan.
You lost 40 new players roster. 40 new players that were either true freshmen or that were transfer portal guys.
Okay, think about this. They lost 2 cornerbacks who were first-round type guys. Well, McKinstry won the second round, but first-round types. They had another year left. Then they lost the third guy, Trey Amos, who just yesterday was named All-SEC, who transferred over to Ole Miss. He should have been here at Alabama. They lost the top 3 corners. And you know what? I think the guys they brought in, the way they developed those guys over the course of the season, when I'm looking at that defense, front to back, those guys in that back, they were the biggest question mark. I thought they improved tremendously. So Mo Lindquist, Colin Hitzler, they did a fantastic job back on that back end. Again, I think the roster, the way you lost Dallas Turner, you lost Chris Braswell, you're going to have losses, right? But they had a lot of guys to replace. So, I'm not really down on at all on the job that was done in this first year. I'm really not. Again, you know that they should have beat Oklahoma. That was a really bad performance. And they should have beat Vanderbilt. Tennessee, I still think they should have probably won that game as well. But it is a first year. Let's see. But I do think this, Ryan, I'm going to reiterate this. now it's time to put that stamp on the program and moving forward.
So that's the big topic when you look at it. But I go back to a guy like LT Overton. I can't remember the hype that you were talking about. I mean, look at the transfer portal guys that he was able to get. Look at the impact. Now, you could look at guys, and Keon Tab, King Mack's a guy that could be growing. But when you look at the transfer portal, he did okay. I mean, he had to supplement his roster. I mean, in a lot of ways, he was handcuffed. I mean, he was literally handcuffed when you think about losing those guys, but also not able to replenish them. The portal was open, but it wasn't open for you to go out and get it. That is a stupid rule. Just like Lane Kiffin said yesterday. I credit Lane Kiffin. He said some things that will irritate you from time, but he'll also say what other coaches are not willing to say. Some of these calendar rules, they are dumb. He said it. I agree with him.
Yeah. No, I think he could only, when he got here, and again, so much has gone on in the last year.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to
but
remember
you forget about it. I mean, you lose it in your back of your mind.
It's I think he could only recruit players from schools that had lost coaches. So the portal was tough for him. Now he brought some good guys, some real contributors, and I think guys that are going to contribute more in the future from Washington. Obviously Brailsford did a great job. I think Josh Cuevas, he made some really big plays down the stretch of the season. I mean, he showed a lot of promise. I really like Josh Cuevas, and I hope he gets more involved next year. We'll see. Austin Mack, he's in the running. We'll see. Again, he's a very talented kid. And you mentioned Sab. And, of course, Damani Jackson came in, but he stuck it out. That's the thing. Damani came in. He announced he was transferring here when Coach Saban was still here, as did LT Overton. But here's the thing. Both those guys stuck it out. I mean, DeBoer convinced them to stay here. So those were really big. And both those guys did a great job. And then the freshmen that they brought in, that they held on to. Xavier Brown, they put him in there at cornerback, and he had the big play against Georgia. So there's a lot of things that I think were really positive that happened, that certainly you would attribute to you have to give Kalen DeBoer credit for.
Yeah, and I think that's the area. But and speaking of LT Overton, it would be nice to be able to get him to come back because I think that's a key piece of the puzzle that can really build that defensive side of the football. And you need a guy like him. We were asking yesterday, and don't let him know this, but the guy that we were talking to, he said, well, it depends on where he's going to play. You could see him as a late first rounder. He said really? He's that talented. He is that talented.
Well, you're talking about LT?
Yeah, LT Overton, yeah.
Yeah, he was the number one player in the country coming out of high school, and he reclassified. He pulled a Ryan Williams, and he went a year early to Texas A&M, and he was still a top 10 player. So when they got him out there, I think he lost weight. They had him lose weight, and they were using him more. I think I don't know if it was like a jack linebacker. I don't remember. But, he got here, and they got back to 285, whatever. And he's much more comfortable. So, there's no reason why. You look at Alabama's defensive front, I mean, they've got some guys. I mean, I think this Jordan Renaud can be really, really good. So, a lot of things to build on as you start to look to the future.
Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Rodney, did you have a reaction yesterday to schedule released? How'd you like that? I mean, when you see it on paper.
Yeah, hey, Kirby was all upset about having all those games on the road, wasn't he?
He was.
But, hey, all of them now are at home.
That's a good point.
Think about that. I mean, you had to play on the road this year, but you've got them all at home next year. I mean, so.
Hey, when are we officially going to put Texas in the SEC? Are we going to let them play some of these? I mean,
right.
Did we have a promise that if they would come over here that we would make sure that we would cater to them and give them you look at their schedule when like 2028, they're going to come in the SEC. I mean, they literally, if you look at their schedule, it's like it's Cupcake City. I mean, yeah, they're playing in the SEC, but they also get a very favorable draw in a lot of these games. So,
Yeah, they're kind of gradually bringing them out of the Big 12.
Is that what it is? Hey, we'll let you kind of warm up a little bit, and people are like, no, you're crazy. No, look at Texas's schedule. I mean, if you look at for next year, I'm pulling it up right here. They do have Ohio State, but that's not the SEC. San Jose State, UTEP. Then they have an open day. They don't play, and then they play Sam Houston. They play their first SEC game October the 4th in Gainesville.
You know, and let me tell you about that game. Watch out, because the job Billy Napier did at the end of the year. What did they finish 7-5?
They did. Yeah, they did.
I mean, that is amazing, the job he did, because they had him fired back in late September. You know, people were already talking about that $28 million buyout or whatever it is. But he did a fantastic job at keeping that team together and the way they played down the stretch of the year. So next year, when Texas goes to Gainesville, that could be a real game.
All right, Rodney, I promise you this will be my final question. Tonio Langham going into the College Football Hall of Fame this week. I'd love to get your thoughts as we try to honor one of our very own.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's one of the all-time greats. Certainly, I mean, he made some of the biggest plays in Alabama football history. Everyone talks about the play he made against Florida, Ryan, and I know you remember it. 1992 SEC championship game, fourth quarter, getting late. Florida had been down 21-7, and they come back and they had tied it 21-all. And Ryan, when they get the ball back, they have all the momentum. I mean, they have all the momentum, and just all of a sudden, you know, they just come back from commercial. I'll never forget. And it was so surreal. I mean, just boom, he makes the play. It happens real fast. He returns it for a touchdown. Alabama, you know, wins. It goes on and beats Miami for the national championship. Obviously one of the biggest plays in Alabama football history. A lot of people forget, though. No, not a lot of people, but some people don't remember, I'm sure, that, you know, the week before, actually it was on Thanksgiving Day, they're playing Auburn. And, of course, Alabama was highly favored. It's a 0-0 game in the third quarter, and he makes a big pick. He knocks the ball up in the air. Stan White was a quarterback for Auburn. He tips the ball up in the air. He catches it, runs it down the sideline for a touchdown. Alabama ends up winning, 17-0 or whatever. But that was a big play, a huge play. Then, you know, again, so just the way he played, you know, in those two games are something that I know Alabama fans of that era are never going to forget.
Yeah, it's certainly saluting him when you look at it and a lot of different things. I know they were credited him with the most pivotal play, and they said it out there, and how that would have changed the culture of just SEC. Forget about SEC conference championships.
Didn't they make a 30-30 on that?
They did. Yep, they sure did. Yeah.
Think about that.
The play that changed the landscape of college football. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Rodney, I appreciate you. Hey, you might want to listen to this next caller after you get off the air. He's complaining, I guess, about me complaining about Texas. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't read all the schedule, and I guess he wants me to do that. So they do play at Florida. They do have Oklahoma and Dallas. They go on the road. They play the mighty Kentucky Wildcats. They play Mississippi State the next week. Then they've got Vanderbilt. Then they got an off week. So, I mean, think about that. You got Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. Open date. They do play Georgia on the road in Athens. Got to give them credit there. Arkansas and Texas A&M. If that's not a favorite,
it might be a little tougher than this year. But I mean, even though it's the same teams, I think some of those teams might be a little better. I know Florida should be. You know, going to Georgia, that's going to be tough. Maybe Oklahoma will be better. We'll see. Texas A&M, you know, has to come to Austin. So, but anyway, maybe a little tougher, but it's not what some of these other teams have played.
Amen. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Rodney, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being a part of our show. And hey, Stock and Stuffer, TiderInsider.com. Bigger Than Bama, the book that Rodney wrote. You can still get that at TiderInsider.com. You can also do his Facebook search. You can also search for Rodney Orr, and you can find it right there. TiderInsider.com, that gift that keeps giving. 12 months a year. Give that membership. It's only $48. Be a great Stock and Stuffer. The instant community and the instant access is available there on TiderInsider.com. Rodney, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being a part of our show.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TITV, WVUA with our very own Gary Harris each Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30, right there on WVUA. It's also archived on YouTube. Find it there. We'll continue. Into the game here in Tuscaloosa, tied at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. It's Christmas time in Texas. Are we such a giving program? Jackson, why don't we give a big-time gift to our next caller? I'd like to take you to Washington, D.C. for just a couple of minutes. A congressman by the name of Mike Collins stood to recognize And he did. He said, I rise today to demand that Texas be, and I'll let him speak for it. I take you to Washington, D.C. This is for our next caller.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to demand that Texas be sent back to the Big 12 and to congratulate the 2024 SEC champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. After the Dogs' historic win over the Longhorns, the SEC's championships over the weekend, which, by the way, was the second time Georgia has beat Texas this season, the Dogs have proved without a doubt that Texas just ain't ready for SEC ball. What an incredible win, Mr. Speaker. Not only did the Dogs absolutely smoke Texas in overtime, but they did it with class, style, and a backup quarterback. This is the 15th SEC championship in Georgia history, and the Dogs aren't done yet. As we move into the playoffs, don't let off the gas. You've got a national championship to bring back to Athens, and don't let anyone stop you. Mr. Speaker, go Dogs! And I yield back.
And we yield to Digger. Digger, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Yeah, let me yield back to that idiot. You know where he graduated from?
Where did he graduate from?
Georgia State. Oh, my God, that guy's an idiot.
What makes him an idiot? Now, hold on. He's on our team. He's on our team.
He went to Georgia State. He ain't got no business talking UGA. Come on.
Well, he does. He does represent the state of Georgia, and Georgia represents the state of Georgia, so they have something in common.
Oh yeah, there be something coming for him in the playoffs.
Did you go to Texas?
I did.
Okay.
I even got my law degree from Texas. Did you go to Alabama?
I sure did.
Did you get your master's from Alabama?
I did not. I did go to grad school. I've got quite a bit of credits. I don't know what that gets me, but I did get my undergrad degree from there. But I got 100 grad credits. If you want to trade those in for a cup of coffee,
let me coach you up. Write your thesis and get your master's. Work on something.
Well, no, I wasn't working on masters. I was actually about to take my comps, and this radio thing decided. Well, and you know what? I just didn't fit in, Digger. I was a conservative trying to be a college professor. Do you realize how hard that is?
Oh my God! Don't get me started. College professors are the worst.
Well, I had an interest. I wanted to go against the grain, but God had other plans and gave me a great job where I can talk to people like you.
Please.
But I enjoyed grad school a lot better than I did undergrad. But go ahead.
You were angling for that tenure. You wanted GA to do all your teaching.
No, I just wanted one of those piled higher and deeper degrees.
Oh.
I mean, you went
to hoping that you'd publish.
You got your JDs. I mean, you know exactly. It's piled higher and deeper, right?
Oh.
Isn't that
Isn't Texas a liberal arts school? Or is that just
Texas
Austin?
It's all liberal. They're all liberal. Come on.
How did you make it out? How did you make it out?
Barely.
Oh, barely.
Barely.
I thought you went to law school.
I did. Barely. It wasn't easy, buddy. I'm telling you. I was totally concerned.
You can't say that. No. Please, man. Digger, you got to clean that up a little bit.
Hit the button. I'm sorry. I went Nick on you.
Oh, you know what? I literally just found this guy.
Who?
You. I just found you.
There you go.
I found you. I will not reveal your name because I'm that type of guy, but so you don't just go by Digger. It is real.
What are you talking about?
I literally just Googled who you are, and I found you.
No.
I did. I literally found him.
That's not me.
I'm not going to reveal who you are.
That's not me.
Oh, I even got your phone number. Oh,
you got my phone number, but that's not me. I'm telling you.
No, I got it now.
Listen, real quick. The reason why I called Rodney Hoare.
Well, you're ugly.
Rodney Hoare, that's because he wrote that stupid book.
No, I'm looking at your photo, man.
Well, thank you. I am ugly. I got a beautiful wife, and guess what? I lied to her for her to marry me. She tells me that all the time. Said, you know, you lied to me. Real quick, Rodney Hoare, he gave your coach an A+. What is that all about? A+.
It's the hardest job
Come
in the
on.
country.
No, it's not. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. He left you a bevy of 5 stars. You had the most talented team in the country. Come on. How many 5 stars you had on there? You had 5 stars on your kickoff team. An A+? You had 3 losses, and you lost to Vanderbilt for the first time in, 30 years? 40 years? Come on. You can't give him an A+. That's a sycophant for you. He only said that so people will buy his subscription. That's a shame on him. He needs to think about that. Come on, I'm being serious.
Okay.
A+?
A+. Okay, what would you give him? What would you give him?
Look, I know the situation. I knew he wasn't going to lose 2 games. He was going to lose more. Okay, you can't go in there and expect to install an offense that he's very good at and have it all done in 4 or 5 months and run through the rigors of the SEC schedule. That's all I'm saying. Now,
Did you guys run through the rigor of the SEC schedule?
Oh, they played.
Pretty much.
They played
Pretty much, but we lost to Georgia. And, boy, let me tell you, they got their comeuppance.
Did we lose to Georgia? Did we lose to Georgia? No.
Oh,
I think
no.
Ryan Williams beat him.
But don't even bring up that Oklahoma crap. Now, you don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It hurts.
Well,
It hurts too bad.
Listen, I'm not excusing you for Oklahoma. That's a renegade program, and I'm telling you, you have to watch them. They will stick a finger in your eye.
Well, they had 2 weeks, and they did. They stuck it in our eye.
Trust me. And it wasn't expecting, was it?
No, it was not.
They played their best game of the year against y'all. It's a shame. But look, being that serious, let's look at the schedule. Would you rather play Ohio State or Florida State? Rodney Hoare.
That's not nice.
Who would you rather play?
That's not nice.
Would you rather
Remember now, I
play
got your
Ohio
phone number
State
now.
or Florida State?
Remember, you got to be nice. I got your phone number now.
You can call me back anytime. See if I answer. Listen, would you rather play Ohio? You're not going to answer. Would you rather play Ohio State or Florida State?
I have found a photo with you in an Alabama shirt. Yeah, you are too. You are on.
I am not on social media, buddy.
And you
I
had
have
socks
a
and
CIA
Birkenstocks
agent
on.
as a neighbor, and he says get off immediately. So please.
But I've got you. I got you.
You're not answering my question. Would you rather play Ohio State or Florida State? Come on. Let's hear it.
Yes, it's Ohio State. But okay. But let me say this. Let me time out. Whoa. To try to predict what 2025 is going to be like, I don't know if I'm willing to step out on any limb. I can't tell you what Alabama's going to look like in 2025. And I don't think you can tell me Texas has got the perfect system. I'm telling you, this system, and it's hard for me to admit this.
With it.
I'm going to say this. Texas,
I'm very happy with it.
This system is set up for programs like Texas. They've always wanted to buy their way to the top, and now they've got the opportunity. Oregon set up as well. Ohio State better go find them a new coach because I don't think Ryan Day's a big-time coach. I mean, I think that's
true.
That's true. But if you look at Florida State, I don't know what they're going to be like. I mean, they may replenish their entire stock, and they may be a solid football team. I do think Mike Norvell is a pretty solid football coach. Now he's got Gus coming in as his offensive coordinator.
Come on.
But that doesn't scare me.
They're leaving in droves, man. There's not much of a team there. Come on. You'd rather play Florida State than Ohio State. We're having to go to Columbus. And the last time we got there, man, we got pelted with all kinds of crap, okay? So it's not funny. It's not fun to go there. I don't see Alabama going to Columbus. Are you going to Columbus? By the way, I think you ought to go to Ann Arbor. Check that place out. It's nice. Real quick.
Hey,
real quick.
Go ahead. I got to get to this break, too. I'm late.
All right, real quick. Lombardi Trophy. It was given to an offensive lineman from the Texas Longhorns.
Good.
Kelvin Banks. Okay. Saints since you brought up the system, to the Pancake Factory. That's the coalition that lured offensive linemen at $50,000 a pop. It's now $150 a year for these offensive linemen if you're a 5-star. And guess what? Because he won that trophy, it was confirmed about an hour ago, he gets $1 million bonus. That's where we're headed.
And that's why Texas is set up. You guys can finally have your way. You can buy your way to the top.
What's wrong with rewarding success with a little? I don't see what's wrong with that. Come on, you got to admit it's a sham to call it amateurism. Come on.
Well, sure.
Well, what's the success?
All right, but
losing in the SEC title game.
No, I'm saying he won the Lombardi Trophy.
He
got an offensive lineman that was even in the running.
You might have paid Greg Sankey, too, for this schedule. Easing your way into the SEC.
Look, by
you
the
left
way,
off
Sankey was
Auburn.
there.
I mean, you play the bottom teams in the SEC.
Hey, I didn't pick the schedule, and I'm not bemoaning the fact we got it.
I didn't say you did. I'm just saying Texas.
Saying
you might have buttered some hands up there. You never know. I mean, hey.
It all changes
Digger,
after 25.
Hey, have you killed a deer
Let
yet?
you go.
Have you killed a deer yet?
No, I need to, though.
Okay.
Haven't had time. Haven't had time to go out there, man. I'd love to.
All right.
The field's been invaded, and we can't even get out there. So that's a shame.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Digger.
Within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
The Pharmacy at Midtown, 205-752-0627, 1800 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 334 at the back of Midtown. Playground, chicken salad chick. You got the gym as well, close to the elevators, close to the stairs. If you love customer service, you're going to love the Pharmacy at Midtown. Independent-owned pharmacy specializing in walk-in prescriptions.
What's a corn farmer's favorite dog? A husky.
Some things shouldn't be flat. But with GHX, you can maximize your acres with one flat price. While other brands sell by the bag, we sell seed by the acre to maximize your yield and profit potential. Our custom seed recommendations combine extensive product characterization and agronomic expertise to get the right product, population, and placement, all for one flat price per acre. Learn how at ghxseed.com/connect.
Community to enjoy. There are also other great sponsorship opportunities. You can learn more at NorthportBunnyTrail.com. That's NorthportBunnyTrail.com.
DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate Coach Saban with the 2025 calendars and the gift packages there, including reflecting on the Gravedigger play with Jalen Milroe connecting and beating Auburn for that final time. You can check it out at DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. Use the game, no space, with a special discount. You can also tell about that you heard about it here on The Game with Ryan Fowler. Deuces Wild. Jalen Milroe connected with Ryan Williams, Xavier Brown, sealing that Georgia victory. You can find the great Prince for that special Alabama fan in your life. It's DanielMooreArt.com. Daniel Moore.
570-15. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-575-7015 or go to RepublicTaxRelief.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A sunny sky this afternoon. Tuscaloosa's high 53. Mostly clear tonight, below 35. Tomorrow's sunny with a high at 56. Saturday, clouds will increase during the day. A chance of rain by Saturday night, the high at 59. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 54 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Byer.
Bill Belichick was introduced today as the new head football coach at the University of North Carolina.
Excited to be in college football, excited for the opportunity to build and develop young student athletes, young men, and prepare them for their life either in the NFL or professionally.
Belichick admitted to reporters today that he spoke with Julius Peppers, Lawrence Taylor, and Michael Jordan, all former Tar Heels, before taking the job in Chapel Hill. Belichick was asked if he's going to be making in-home visits during recruiting. He said, quote, absolutely, end quote. Former Florida and Mississippi State head coach Dan Mullen will be the new head coach at UNLV, while Colorado two-way star Travis Hunter was named the AP's College Football Player of the Year. In the NFL, it's the Rams and Niners tonight in San Francisco. Is expected to activate linebacker Dre Greenlaw. It's his first game since he ruptured his Achilles in Super Bowl 58 against the Chiefs. Broncos signed left tackle Garrett Bowles to a 4-year extension.
To my interns in 2021, I'd like to apologize to them publicly because I accused one of them, a group of them, for being digger. I did. No, I did. Jackson, this is before you arrived. In 2021, I accused one of them for being digger and pretending to prank call us. I literally thought it was one of their parting gifts as they departed for the semester, and I said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. One of you guys is pretending to be a Texas fan. Little did I know, with a little bit of research, Digger's a real Texas fan. How about that? So I'd like to apologize for those interns back in 2021. So I'm sorry. I had to look them up. We still have the intern chat. Maybe I could put it in there and apologize to those guys because I literally did. I thought he was a prank guy, but this guy's real, man. He's real. He really did go to Texas. How about that? I think we should all send him a Christmas card. No, I would never do that. That is against. We do not have caller ID. Jackson, we do not have. Why do so many people think we have caller ID? I had lunch today with a guy. He goes, you guys have got to have caller ID. I said, no, I promise you. We do not. There is no way for us to identify. And we wouldn't do it if we did have caller ID. But when people pick up, because Jackson, they think that he's being favorites over there, putting people up on the call board. No, I don't answer your. No, we do not have caller ID. We just take them as they come in. Take them as they come in. Like right now, Pat. He's been waiting for 36 minutes. JR, 26 minutes. Don't want to skip JR. He'll get mad. And the later in the show it goes, the drunker he gets. So we'd like to get him as early as possible. And then Robert in Mobile, and then Josh in Georgia. Let's go to Pat in Tuscaloosa. Pat, good afternoon.
Josh in Georgia is an absolutely fabulous caller. I got to meet Josh recently.
Well, how about Digger being real? How about Digger being a real person?
I thought for sure that he was just another drunk.
Let me tell you, I walked in. Because Gary Harris and I talked about this. We thought it was one of our interns. We literally thought it was one of our interns about 4 years ago. And to come today here on December the 12th of 2024 that he is a real human being.
Well, I mean, you know how bad Digger was on Dallas. Digger was just absolutely the pits, the scum of the earth. And, of course, there's a whole lot of them Texas people that, what did the great Justin Wilson say? If they could suck in as much as they could blow out, they'd have the Mississippi River there in 30 minutes.
Is that really what they said?
That's what Justin Wilson said, the famous Louisiana comedian.
Okay.
Yeah, they talked about that. The only thing, they told everything's so great and big in Texas. Well, he said, and that fella, and Justin Wilson said, well, one thing we got over here, we got the Mississippi River. Yeah, you do. I mean, I sure would like to have that in Texas. And he said, well, we'll build a pipeline. If y'all can suck in as much as y'all can blow out, y'all have it there in 30 minutes.
Well, we always love to watch him cook, man. He was great, and you can still watch his videos. It still makes sense.
And right at this moment, I am making one of the finest. I'm actually practicing on etouffee or etouffee, ever how you want to say it. It's really a Cajun dish.
All of the above.
Etouffee means smothered, but it means smothered. But anyway, I'm making the etouffee right at this minute, shrimp etouffee. And I want to talk about that we have possibility of a really, really fine wide receiver coming into the University of Alabama out of North Carolina State. Lord goodness, at 1,400 and something yards in 2 seasons. We're talking about a top-notch slot receiver, and I sure do hope that we get Cole Adams back. But if Cole didn't come back 100%, this would be a real good shot in the arm for the University of Alabama. Ryan, that one Mr. Casey Concepcion starts his Alabama visit this afternoon. How about that?
And are you sure it's this afternoon?
Supposed to be.
Okay.
I think today may not be in the morning. But
no, I mean I'm just saying. Yeah, he may already be here.
Well, I was going to say may already be here. I don't know.
He may already be
about
here.
that.
We had practice this morning, by the way. We had practice this morning, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
There was some new faces there, Pat.
Well, that's fabulous.
Did you notice how I used the word faces?
Yeah, as in plural.
There you go.
And
he was born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, but look, man, I'm excited about the fact that Coach DeBoer. Yes, we've lost some, and he's going out trying to find us some replacements. All these guys that are skipping town and don't want to come in and don't want to really, really work their butt off in order to see the field and all that kind of thing. But Lord, I hope wish them the best on their careers and that kind of thing. But I'm talking about the ones that have left, the tight ends that have left. And he's got to go out.
Do you really think that there was anybody in that portal that they didn't already? The Dylan Lonergan was a little bit of a shock, but everybody else, I think we knew that was coming.
Well, yeah, but hey, Odom had potential to help out on the block. We could possibly miss Odom's blocking. Do you not agree or no?
No. I think.
Okay.
He never mind. I'm not going to talk. I think he had some very poor guidance, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's happening right now. That's happening. Unfortunately, there is a lot of young men. Parker Brailsford got some really good advice and said, "Hey,
to come back.
Yeah, to come back.
Parker needs more weight. He's got to have more weight, and to come back to the University of Alabama." If he'd come over and eat some of my oatmeal cookies every afternoon, I could fatten him up.
Pat, I was told that they were going to put you in charge of that. I don't know if they've called you yet, but that's what I was told.
I've been. I can handle it, and I'm short walk from the practice field.
I got you.
I can see the practice field from my back deck just about, and. But anyway, this is a fantastic.
I want you to give me a grade for Kalen DeBoer.
Kalen DeBoer's overall grade. I got to give Kalen. I got to give him a B+.
B+. Okay. All right. I got it. Pat, I appreciate you. Roll Tide.
Yep. Hey, thank you, sir. Have a great afternoon, Mr. Fowler.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Let's go to JR, Coker, Alabama. JR, good afternoon.
Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
Good. You having a great afternoon?
How'd you know I'd already had a drink?
I'm just telling you. Well, see, what happens is even though we don't have caller ID, we have AI.
Okay, so how you like that? What they have to offer?
Oh, it's good. We have to pay good money for it, but we are a step ahead of the competition. We're tracking you, man.
You got to realize it's artificial.
No.
And I don't know how intelligent it really is.
No, I agree. But I will say this: I use it some. I'm not afraid of it. Are you?
No, I don't know. Hey, by the way, what's going on with you and Satan? I mean, you got Digger on there, and he's just like Satan. He got horns.
Well, today I found out something that I didn't know yesterday. He's real.
You Digger.
He's real. He's real.
He is real, huh?
He's a real individual. He's not AI.
No. He may be artificial, but he's not. Go ahead, now. What are you?
No, don't. You're trying to get me in trouble. I'm moving away. Let's.
You're always in trouble. I ain't got to do that.
You loved a guy that can push me right into the doghouse.
Well, yeah. I'm always willing to do that. You know, but you always dig yourself out. You and Digger. I mean, never mind. Digger, I've had enough about talking about you. Anyway, yeah. As far as DeBoer this year, I mean, good gracious, I give him a flat A, not an A minus, not an A plus. It's just a flat A, and the reason is to navigate through a season this chaotic as this has been the most craziest season I've ever seen in college football, and I mean not just SEC, but from top to bottom through every. I mean, just look at the AP poll from the beginning to the end. Is there how many teams were ranked anywhere near close to where they were ranked when it started the season? Not many. But,
yeah, it's a great point. We need to go back and look at that. I can do that in just like 2 seconds. I want to go back to the rankings. You want to go preseason rankings? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, just right before the start of the season.
Okay, why don't we do that? JR, that's a good smart contribution here. All right, let's go. Georgia's at 1. Fair.
I was just saying Georgia probably. Yeah.
Ohio State was at 2. That we missed that a little bit. Oregon's at 3. That's pretty good. Texas at 4. Alabama's 5. Ole Miss 6. Oh, we missed that one. 5 and 6, Alabama and Ole Miss. Then Notre Dame's at 7. Penn State's at 8. 9's Michigan. 10 Florida State. Well, we missed that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
11 Missouri. 12 Utah. Had an injury to their quarterback. 13 LSU. Clemson 14. 15 Tennessee. 16 Oklahoma. Missed that one too. 17 Oklahoma State. We missed that one. 18 Kansas State. We missed that one. Yeah, I mean, we drifted away as far as the voters, or I say we, but the coaches' poll is very similar too. So the coaches missed it too. It just wasn't media. But
well, I mean, still, it's been a heck of a chaotic season. Some of the rankings that you have that are close, they've been bouncing around up and down all season long, and they just happen to come back close to where they were at the start of the season. But you know what I mean? And Alabama being ranked right now number 13. Is that where we finally placed in this season?
Well,
I mean, I know that
you really want to know the truth here. When you look back at the college football playoff rankings, Alabama was 11th, right? It just and then we dropped down, and I mean Arizona State had to slide in there automatically. SMU, yeah,
that's automatic bids.
So,
I mean, anytime you take a team like.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. But, JR, give me the grade for Kalen DeBoer.
Well, I already did a flat A. And,
I missed the A. Okay, so a flat A. So that means, what was an A?
A plus.
Jackson made more A's than I did. An A plus? You want to go A plus?
I said not an A minus.
Yeah, but
just an A plus.
Yeah, so just an A. So that would be, what is that, like a 94 to 96, I think? Yeah, because 97's a plus.
You still have room for, but the reason like I said, that's what got us into this conversation about the rankings, is because it's been such a chaotic year. I think he did all good, especially navigating through NIL and the portal the way it has really created havoc in college football. And I mean, it's just something that, you know, we, like you said, we're just going to have to live with, because I don't see that changing. I mean, do you see them taking the NIL away from these players? No. If things would go crazy then.
And there is some legislation proposals that we will see.
There is. I hope they can tame it down some. I mean, you can't take it away at all. I mean, completely. But as far as, you know, getting more control over these issues, particularly with the amount of money being spent on the players to just get them started. I mean, they're throwing money around. They're building teams with money. And it's just not the right way, I think, to approach college football. I mean, it just isn't.
But would your opinion, because I have to ask myself this all the time, would it change if Alabama was just the richest school in the entire country and they would able to buy players?
Okay, well,
or are we just angry because we don't have? We're okay. I mean, I saw it the other day. I think we're top 10.
Real quick on that, Mo, right there subject. Name the top 5 richest teams in the country, and what are they doing with their money?
Well,
they buying?
I don't know about richest schools, but I can tell you where they're at as far as the NIL collective, and I think that gives you a little bit of an understanding.
All right.
If you'll give me 2 seconds, I had it right here. Here we go. Texas is 1. Ohio State's 2, LSU's 3, Georgia's 4, Texas A&M's 5, 6 is Michigan, Alabama's 7th, 8's Florida, 9 is Clemson, 10 Oklahoma. We'll stop there.
Wow. You kind of surprised
that
me.
That is based on one metric, and that's just your collective. I didn't say it's your rich alumni base. It doesn't say you got more billionaires than everybody else. It's just simply saying when you base on the collective, that's where that number is. JR, I got to run, man. I'm at 24 after. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, man. Thank you. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100. All right, we welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Let's go to Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well, man.
Hey, man.
How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. You guys were talking again about the transfer portal. Well, a minute ago. And then I'm in the camp of that is not the problem. That is not the problem. How much these athletes are getting. Once you start paying them, I'm going to stop using the term kids because that'd be criticized them for. But these athletes make is not the problem. They deserve to make as much money as anybody's willing to pay them. It's not wrong, and there's no way you're going to pass any legislation that's going to inhibit that. And we should not, because that's kind of un-American and uncapitalistic for anyone to want to do so. Suppose somebody say, "Oh, Robert, it's not fair. You make over $100,000 a year. That's too much money." I'll look at you like you're crazy. Somebody's going to pay me $100,000 a year. I make it. That's how it works. And the same thing goes with the players. If Texas wants to pay Isaiah Bond $1 million, whatever, to go play for their team, well, that's great for you, Isaiah. I sure hope my grandson can earn that kind of money one day. That's how it should go. The transfer portal is the problem. That's what we're all. If one for the transfer portal, how you think you can transfer, nobody would care less how much anybody makes. It's how easy they can transfer. Therein lies the problem. It's not what they make or what somebody chooses to pay them. It's how easy they can transfer, because you can't even switch teams that easy in the NFL. That's the problem. I really don't like this talk about somehow limiting what somebody can make. That's just so uncapitalistic, or un-American, really.
But is this real capitalism? I mean, is it?
Yes.
But based on that same rule would be just pay for play, right? So cheating for all those years didn't really have parameters. Cam Newton, when Auburn bought him in 2010, as long as they could afford to pay him, then that would be okay, the way that I'm looking at him. Am I wrong? The way that you're kind of presenting?
There were different rules then, and the Supreme Court said, hey, those rules were kind of unfair.
But Robert,
now that we look at it.
Do you really think these players are doing $1 million of endorsement deals?
Or whatever, yeah. You deserve whatever somebody's willing to pay.
So let's quit calling it name, image, and likeness, and tell me that you're going to be endorsing, the local popsicle shop.
If someone thinks it's worth $1 million for them to do a commercial for whatever, yeah.
But they're not doing commercials, Robert.
Or whatever they're doing, whatever it is they're doing. If someone's decided to pay them $1 million to do whatever it is they're doing. And it's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's just a choice. We want to make it something that it's not. It's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's a choice. One choice versus another choice. And, maybe a choice for some reason some people don't like, but it doesn't make it illegal or immoral or wrong. Now, even with Cam Newton, again, there was a rule that was placed on at the time on these players that the Supreme Court, when they finally made it to them, said, hey, that's really an unfair rule you got on them, and we're not going to allow you to do this anymore. But, okay, at the time, it was supposedly wrong because at that time, it was the rule. So Cam Newton supposedly broke a rule. But now we're saying, hey, that rule wasn't all that fair, really, because they really wasn't. Somebody wants to pay Cam Newton, to play for their, well, it wasn't to play football. And Cam, even to this day, Cam Newton said he was not paid. I tend to believe him now because, well, there's no more reason to lie. You have no reason to lie, Cam. You might as well tell us you got paid. No one's taking the Heisman. No one's holding anything off your head. Now you can tell the truth. He still says he wasn't paid. Well, okay, you got no reason to lie. You're still lying. I can't believe you now. You got no reason to lie to me. Nothing's going to happen. Bad's going to happen if you tell me that you got paid. So he says he didn't. I guess Manziel, would be more of an example than Cam Newton. He does admit he got paid. But right now it's not wrong. It's not immoral. And the transfer portal is where the efforts need to be made. Because, they've had all legislation in Congress they want. I don't see how it's going to get through the Supreme Court. They were very clear. You can't tell these players what they can and cannot earn as far as,
But Robert, I think where you and I are in a debate, I think we agree on some, but I think we disagree on others, okay? And I think when we look at different states having different rules, because we understand that politicians, we knew that this was an election season. We knew that this was going to be the general election for not just the president, but also many House seats and Senate seats and all these different things, that many states came up with different rules and nobody's governing by the same body. What may be legal in Texas can do one. Like the state of Missouri. You can pay high school players in that state as long as they're going to in-state schools. If they go out of state, they can't be paid. Robert, I don't care whatever word you want to call it, capitalism. To me, I don't like that because I don't think that's an equal playing, and I think that's where Nick Saban was right on so many areas that it needs to be equal. What should be legal here should. Well, but that's where you're going to have to get some kind of universal policy, whether that comes from a conference office or the NCAA or somewhere, because you don't want a school like Oregon buying their way to the top, and that's what they've done.
Well, the thing is, not even so much paying high schoolers or whatever. It's how easy these kids can transfer. Now, that's something that can be controlled by the colleges and the NCAA and colleges in general. They can all come into an agreement. Hey, you can make all the money you want, but you're not going to be able to hop one team to another. That's what's going on right now. It's got everybody upset. It's all easier to hop from one team to the next. Now, that can be controlled, and that's not interfering with anybody's right to earn money. It's okay. You can, like the NFL even has those type rules. You can't hop just up and hop to one team to the next.
Yeah, and these contracts are literally 1 year. I've been doing a little bit of digging on this NIL stuff. They're literally 1 year deals. They're all 1 year deals, and many of them are over-promised and under-delivered. It's just be what it is. But and getting all these different shady agents involved. It's all right. Robert, give me a grade for Kalen DeBoer.
I do not see how but that's their opinion. But me personally, I don't see how we could possibly give them anything higher than a B minus.
You want to go B minus? Is that where you want to go?
B minus. You lost to Vanderbilt. You lost to a mediocre Oklahoma team. That is.
Well, but you also beat a Georgia team that probably averaged out a little bit. Yeah.
But good. This wasn't a great Georgia team. It was a team that a decent Alabama team should have been able to beat. In fact, this Georgia team, just about any Alabama team other than the first year Nick Saban would have been able to beat this team. So you're not going to get a whole lot of a good grade on that. This was a below average Georgia team from their heyday that we beat. So this is a season with a bunch of average teams, and we still didn't make the playoffs. So this was it's his first season. If it was his second season, I would consider this season a tremendous underachievement. Because it's his first season, this really isn't your team yet. Next year is going to be your team. If we have a repeat of this season, I would give it an F. But because it's his first season and, okay, realistically, it's not your team yet, I'll give him a B-.
All right, I wrote it down. Hey, we'll talk about this more because I do think you and I are somewhat see things way, but I also have some different opinions too. I just don't have a lot of time right here to Marshall a little bit later. He's traveling, and I think he's in a bad cell phone area. That's okay. We're continuing. We're grading Kalen DeBoer. Final grades are due, and we're turning those in. And we've got to submit them. I think grades need to be posted by tonight at 7 o'clock. We might roll it over tomorrow. We might give one extra day here. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. How is everything?
I'm good. I hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm fixing to get me some supper at my favorite restaurant here. They got chicken tenders on special on Thursday. And then the next little town up from my town has their Christmas parade tonight. So I'm going to go sit and watch all the lights and the floats and motorcycles and everything.
Okay.
So
okay.
Enjoy evening out.
What's your favorite part of the Christmas parade?
I don't know. I mean, motorcycles are a thing that interests me, even though I don't have one, because my mother is one of them people. If I get a motorcycle, you know.
Smart mom.
How would you say it?
Smart. No. She is a smart mother who loves you. Okay.
I will say this,
Josh, you hear me?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
I was an EMT in my previous life. I worked a lot of motorcycle wrecks, man.
Right.
And I know it's not the people that drive the motorcycle. I get that.
No, it's everybody else.
Yeah, but people pull right out in front of you.
Right, they do.
I've had to work some.
People don't see you.
Major fatalities with that. And so, yes, you got a smart mom.
Something that is cool about the city and county police department here is I never see them on patrol. I never see them sitting out on the side of the road running speed checks. But when they run the police motorcycles in the parade, those are cool to look at. I will not lie.
Yeah, and I always like the Shriners when they do the thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a few classic cars and probably some souped up, I don't know if you say street cars, but there'll be some cool vehicles in the parade tonight and what have you, and floats, different churches and different, the hospital. There'll be some cool stuff built, and they always do a good job with it. It always draws a crowd. I will say that. Like, you don't think this next little town up is this big, and then it's like everybody and their mothers comes out for the Christmas parade, and it really draws. They'll line up Main Street and downtown, and it will be like almost a Mercer game as far as traffic. You know what I mean? Getting out and trying to get back home. So that's what the traffic comparison's probably easiest to say is like a Mercer game. So it's not like heavy traffic, but it's more traffic than what some people are used to. So, but anyways, I've been listening to the show the last couple of days. Heard you've been grading the offense, defense, and today are we grading the whole coaching staff or just Coach DeBoer?
Yeah, and now I'm ticking off the people who own motorcycles. I'm getting messages left and right. And you know what? I hope it hurts so bad. I hope it hurts so bad that they sell them. So I've seen too many accidents, man. It scares me.
Right.
It scares me.
Right.
I always told my brothers if they ever bought a motorcycle, I would steal it. And put we have a family farm up in North Alabama. I would put it in an area where they could not find it. So yes, now I'm getting all these haters that don't like what I say. I just love you, man. Funny. I don't want people to get hurt, man. It's
right. You're watching out for my well-being.
Yeah, a smart man.
But I hear we've been grading the offense, defense, and today are we grading the coaching staff as a whole or just Coach DeBoer?
Coach Kalen DeBoer.
So, and I can say this one more time right now, and I'll probably say it multiple times to the off season. I, for one, am thankful for Coach DeBoer being his own man, coming not to fill the shoes, but to be his own man behind the greatest to ever do it in my lifetime. Other people would say that probably about Coach Bryant. I've only heard stories about Coach Bryant. But the greatest to ever do it in my lifetime, Coach Nick Saban, for him to come in, have a 9-3 season in the SEC, mind you, the toughest conference of all, the best conference of all, I'll go A-.
A- for Kalen DeBoer.
Because those two losses, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, Vanderbilt I'll just say this: the Vanderbilt game felt odd as soon as they tipped that ball and made it 13-0. I'm like, we got a problem here. But then the Oklahoma loss, they had a week to prepare, extra week to prepare it. And I will say this: they figured out you shut down Jalen Milroe, you shut down our offense. And I wasn't expecting Jackson Arnold to do what he did as far as moving his legs. I figured our defense could get to him, but his ability to move out of the pocket and run surprised me. So, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, what is going on here? But as Coach DeBoer and his coaching staff overall, first year in the SEC, 9-3, I got to go A-. I'm happy with it. We're going to go play Michigan in the bowl game. It's not maybe the bowl game we wanted, but it still is a bowl game. We have a chance to go 10-3. And does he tie Coach Thomas with 10-3, or does he pass Coach Thomas with 10 wins?
No, he's tied right now. He's tied with Frank Thomas from 1931, and he will surpass him if he beats Michigan. Hey, Josh, let me get to awesome. Bruce Marshall.
Buddy. I appreciate it.
Let's go to Bruce Marshall. It is Vegas Insider, CBS Sportsline HQ. Bruce Marshall, how are you, my friend? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I'm a long ways away.
I knew it. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're completely fine. We're grading Kalen DeBoer to this today, so we got tons and tons of calls, so we're okay. But I'd love to ask you. Tell us where you're at, Bruce, because I don't know if we've ever had a guest that's been this far away.
Yeah, I'm in Lugano, Switzerland now, but we're visiting the grandbabies over here. So so it's a little cold, but coming back next week. But that's where I am.
Okay, well, all the way from Switzerland right here. Are you taking all that money that you won on this college football season and putting it in a Swiss bank over there? Is that what you're doing?
No, I already gave it to my wife already, so she she has it. But
I'm just teasing. I'm not trying to get you in trouble. Let me go to the college football playoffs, Bruce. I'd love to get your thoughts on the college football playoffs. Alabama getting left out. You're in Tuscaloosa. Don't cater to us. Did they get it right?
By the parameters they set up, probably so. But the parameters are wrong. They want the 12 best teams in this tournament. They didn't get that. They didn't get close to it. South Carolina should be in there. Ole Miss should be in there. Maybe Alabama should be in there. I'd argue right now maybe Baylor should be in there. Now, I know early season you lose games and that disqualifies you. I don't think it should, but that's the problem when you're only taking 12 teams and you should take 14 or 16 or whatever. I am stunned that the Big Ten has been able to hoodwink everybody to masquerade as this power conference. Okay, there's a few power teams there. What happens to Penn State every time they play another good team? They lose. Look at Indiana's schedule. You tell me, you give them Georgia's schedule, you give them LSU's schedule, you give them Bama's schedule, they're going 11-1. No way. I do not see why the Big Ten has to be, why this tournament has to bow over so much to the Big Ten. But I will say this, they got to do something about the scheduling all the way around. And I just saw, the SEC schedule just came out yesterday. You guys probably talked about it.
We have.
Everybody's playing the same teams they played this past season. I mean, if that computer spit out a really unfair schedule, for Texas, and here they're doing it again maybe for next year. Now, I know some teams change year to year, but they got to get the scheduling thing right and that includes non-conference games. And it's play Power 4 should be playing Power 4. Enough of this playing the FCS and everybody. You're trying to treat this like an NFL playoff right now, and you're still doing things like old-time college football. Can't do that anymore if you want to have this thing right. And so I do not think at all they have the 12 best teams in this tournament, not by a mile.
Okay. All right. And that's coming from somebody that studies numbers the way that we do. I wonder what it's going to do for TV. Not that needs to be a factor into it, but, we are in the money-making business. I don't know what SMU and Penn State really do for the national audience.
Yeah, I don't know either, or Indiana, other than there's an interesting storyline there. You never want to make it so that's that's the whole criteria there. But what this gets me in basketball, it's not like this. But if you lose some games early in the season, that disqualifies you. And I don't think that should. I just brought up Baylor a second ago. They're playing as good as anybody in the country right now. They just wouldn't even have a look at this thing. South Carolina, my other example, they're not there because there was a game in week 2 against LSU when their quarterback got hurt in the second half. And they had a pick six that would have put them up 2 scores in the fourth quarter that was negated by a personal foul, a late hit on Nussmeier. They still almost forced overtime with the backup quarterback. Since, the Alabama, right for the Alabama game, October 12th, they've been as good as any team in the country. They should be in the 12. And whatever their parameters are that they've put up, and they're saying, okay, well, they lost to Alabama and Ole Miss. Well, they didn't lose to Penn State, and they didn't lose to Indiana. And don't tell me Indiana's schedule is anything close to what any SEC team played, even Texas. So they're not getting this right if they want the best teams in there, and they're not if they keep bowing over to the Big Ten. If they want to do it to the SEC, fine. SEC deserves it. Big Ten does not.
Bruce, I love it when we don't talk. I mean, listen, we're talking about a lot of college football because you provide a lot of expertise. How do you think this will impact the future? Do you think Greg Sankey will now put his feet in the sand and maybe not budge in a lot of different ways?
Yeah, I don't think he's happy that the Big Ten's got more schools than he's got in there, but they better figure out a little something on the scheduling thing. Well, first thing, Sankey's going to argue for more spots in the playoff, and I think that's coming irrespective of how Sankey would argue it. I mean, his job is going to be to try to get as many SEC spots in there as he can. But I think, obviously he's going to push for more spots. But I think this sort of has to be a collective, not just Sankey, but it's got to be Jim Phillips in the ACC, and it's got to be Yormark in the Big 12. And the new fellow in the Big Ten, get something. I heard Ryan Day, who I don't agree with a lot, but he even mentioned this on a recent interview with Joel Klatt. We got to do something about this schedule if we want to pretend we're like, a pro football now and doing this playoff. You can't be playing. Ole Miss can't be playing Furman in the non-conference. It doesn't help them at all, and makes Lane Kiffin feel good running up 76 points, but that's not helping you any. Play a Power 4. And you look back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, you rarely saw any, SEC teams. They didn't play a full. The SEC teams play like a 6-game schedule then, but they weren't playing, except an occasional Chattanooga or somebody. They weren't playing all these FCS teams. You didn't see South Carolina State getting on the schedule or Furman. It's got to be a collective with all the conference commissioners getting together and figuring out this scheduling thing too.
So if you were advising Greg Byrne, would you tell him to keep on keeping on with all these non-conference schedules? Because next year, let this sink in. You play on the road at Florida State. You also have Wisconsin coming to Tuscaloosa plus 8 conference games. Would you tell him to keep on keeping on, or would you try to look at it? And if you were advising him, what would you tell him to do? Should he buy some of these teams out? I mean, certainly that looks bad too. But when you look at this schedule, it's pretty much impossible we're not going to see undefeated teams, but you add Wisconsin and Florida State, and you say, well, Florida State was bad. Well, the transfer portal, you can clean a lot of those things up.
Yeah, you can. I tell Greg Byrne to keep doing what he's doing, keep on keeping on. I tell LSU to do the same thing. LSU has long been, they're sort of the exception, and Alabama's been pretty good too about its non-conference scheduling. LSU's been really good for a long, long time. They've taken on a lot of teams. But I think there should be an edict about these FCS games and just say, enough's enough. You don't need to do this. If you want to if you say, okay, that helps them out, it subsidizes them, well, give them a little subsidy from the tournament then. But there's the TV networks also are not thrilled about the non-conference scheduling for the most part. And I'll circle back to Ole Miss again. I don't like this model of schools like Ole Miss, and they're not the only one, that decides they're going to have one sort of challenging non-conference game and have a bunch of low-level opposition otherwise. For them this year, that turned out to be Wake Forest, and Wake Forest wasn't that good. It did not help Ole Miss any. But this has got to be across the board. It can't be just, Greg Byrne can't do this himself. Neither can they, Ross Bjork, wherever, you can't do this all by yourself. You need a collective, and that's where I think Sankey, the commissioners, should put their heads together with the network people really quick.
All right, we've got bowls coming up literally this weekend. You've got Jackson State, South Carolina, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. We've got South Alabama, Western Michigan. These early bowls, is there a strategy when you talk about placing a little action on these things?
No, because the way these bowls are now, I mean, there's so many of them. Sun Belt MAC. That's what we got this weekend coming up. That's the South Alabama Western Michigan game. In some of these lesser games, not all the players hold out, but a lot of them did last year. So you just got to sort of pick your spots, and it's almost sort of like handicapping the NFL preseason, which I've always thought could be a good bet. If you know who it is you're handicapping, if you know the players who are going to play and how they're going to do, and get a feel for some of the backups who might be in there. But the bowl season also is something I think they ought to address, because maybe they should play the bowl games at the start of the year. Be easier for travel for the fans. Forget all this stuff. A lot of these bowls nobody really cares about. And expand the playoff. That'll be your postseason. Have these bowl games in August instead, so you don't have guys holding out. It's tough. There is one real game this weekend, Army-Navy. And I'm thinking Navy's actually worth a look in this game. I know Army has achieved an awful lot this year, but I don't know that there's that much difference between Army and Navy this year. Navy's pretty dynamic. They'll be psyched up out of their mind. The game is closer to Annapolis this year. They're playing in the Commander Stadium there in Landover. Very short ride over for the midshipmen from Annapolis. I think Navy's a good bet this weekend. Also, one other note, under in this Commander-in-Chief series, that's also a look. It's 47-10-2 to the under the last 59 Commander-in-Chief games, including both already this year.
Bruce Marshall, tell us how we can get in contact with you and get all your picks for these bowl games, and we'll talk next week when you get back in town.
Yeah, sounds good, Ryan. Check me out online, VegasInsider.com. He had a big day yesterday. College hoops were 6-1, NBA won, NHL won, soccer even won. So check us out online, VegasInsider.com. Also, my picks, CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com, and picks with a different twist. They're at winnersandwhiners.com and picksandparlays.com.
Bruce Marshall, thank you. Enjoy your time over there and try to stay a little warm over there, okay?
I will. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Bruce Marshall helping us out there. We'll continue with more phone calls. We'll get back to those coming up in a couple of minutes. Brad Powers is going to join us from Los Angeles.
At Baker's, an annual Boost membership just got even better. Now you can choose from Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, or ESPN Plus on us when you sign up. Plus, enjoy unlimited free delivery, double fuel points, exclusive offers, and free items. Sign up for a Boost membership today. It's an easier way to save, including new streaming options to relax with while we deliver your groceries. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com. Checking, savings, business, lending. If you're looking to finance an automobile or if you're looking for a home equity.
In the plays, you'll be making the bets and finally getting the sports glory you deserve. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game.
Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. If you're in the construction business, take a little bit of stress out of your life. The construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site, the portable toilet service, the storage containers to protect your valuables. It's Rumsey Environmental for that complete waste removal service when you
and provide you with the lowest possible price. Come experience the Urban's Working Western Home Team service today. Tell them Van the Boot Man sent you. Roll Tide.
Do you have timberland you don't know what to do with? Give North River Timber Company a call. Call Courtney White and his team of over 20 years experience in West Alabama and East Mississippi. Offer timber harvesting programs, timber appraisals, comprehensive management plans as a registered forester in Alabama. Courtney and his team can help you decide how to maximize the highest potential for your land. Courtney says timber is like money in the bank. See what your investment can do for you. Contact Courtney Watt at 205-242-5127, 205-242-5127, or North River Timber Company, CO.
Also take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service, Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
Don Wallace CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wallace.
And spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Beyer.
Bill Belichick today was introduced as the new head coach at the University of North Carolina, leading their football program. After 49 years of coaching in the NFL, Belichick takes his first college job, but not the first time he's been in Chapel Hill. His dad was a coach at North Carolina when Belichick was young.
You know, when you're little, you don't remember everything. Obviously, I was too young to remember a lot of things from Carolina. But as I grew up, you know, you hear the same story over and over and over and over again. And so one story I always heard was Billy's first words were, beat Duke.
Belichick did admit that he spoke with Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, and Julius Peppers, all former Tar Heels, before accepting the job in Chapel Hill. Former Florida and Mississippi State head coach Dan Mullen's going to be the new head coach at UNLV, getting a 5-year deal. Rams and Niners tonight. No practice for Buccaneers running back Bucky Irving. Lakers forward LeBron James likely out tomorrow against the Timberwolves because of his foot issue.
I got spirit, I got faith. I might bend, but I won't break. I'll fight the elements. And I'm going to go down.
All right, we're going to go to Brad Powers. Brad Powers, 7. He is a Las Vegas handicapper. He's a guy that we love to be able to talk to. Brad Powers, 7. BradPowersSports.com. BradPowersSports.com. Brad, as we start off, I hope all is well, and take a minute to wish you a very Merry Christmas from all of us here in Tuscaloosa. And we won't visit next week, and the next week will be Christmas. So hope all is well. And you going back home for Christmas?
I'm gonna double dip. The college football playoff game is gonna be at South Bend and Columbus next week.
Oh, my. That's not a bad way to spend the Christmas holidays. So, yeah, that's and I think the on-campus sites are going to be fun. I think it's going to add a lot of energy. I see ticket prices are through the roof, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most exciting thing about the playoff. In fact, I hope it goes over so well that they make the first 2 rounds on college campuses, because that's what makes college football special, not the neutral sites. Especially at pro stadiums, Rose Bowl, something like that's different. But inside an NFL stadium and a neutral site doesn't do it for me. But Bryant-Denny Stadium, Notre Dame Stadium, the Horseshoe, the Big House, that does move the needle for me.
Brad, I want to ask you about the College Football Selection Committee. You're talking to Tuscaloosa. You've never, made that influence your decision, but did you think the selection committee got it right?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I mean, as far as my pocketbook, they didn't get it right because I lost some money because I thought Alabama would be in, at least leading up to everything that transpired prior to the fourth quarter of the SMU Clemson game. I thought if SMU would win, Alabama obviously would be in. And if that score holds and SMU loses by 17 or more, I think Alabama's in. But obviously SMU makes a big time rally, and I think they weren't willing to set the precedent that that we're going to drop a team 4 or 5 spots for playing a conference championship game where they lose on the final play. So I understood their decision. It always comes down to this: did you put in the most deserving teams, or did you put in the best teams? Obviously, Alabama's better than SMU. I would favor Alabama 4 or 5 points over SMU, at least on a neutral. So if it's about the best teams, then Ole Miss would be in, Alabama would be in, South Carolina would be in. But they tend to go towards the most deserving. And if it's that, then, that the reality is, I think Alabama would have gotten the benefit of the doubt, but, 3 losses compared to 1 in the regular season. And when those 3 losses, when 2 of them were to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, and the last one being Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns, certainly, I mean, Alabama had opportunities. It's not like Alabama lost to 3 top 5 teams.
That's a great point. But how do you do strength of schedule? Because, you do look at some of these conferences and you try to match it up. I mean, how hard of a job is that? I mean, we pretend like it's, through the roof. Is it really that hard of a job?
Strength of schedule. Well, I mean, I don't think it's that hard. I mean, I don't think a lot of people grasp it, even especially significant disparities in strength of schedule. I don't even think the market really grasp it, because we see like Notre Dame Army a couple weeks ago, where Army didn't play anybody. First time they played anybody with a pulse, and you saw what happened there. So, and same thing with Indiana and Ohio State in that game. It's pretty easy. I mean, I know how I do it and come up with my strength of schedule. I mean, it's just, I take the power rating of the team and, factor in home and away. Boom, bang, there you go. I mean, add it up to divide it by 12, and boom, bang, you got Alabama with a top 10 strength of schedule, and a team like SMU who they're compared with, not even the top 60. In fact, SMU, I got 64th in mind. So significant difference. Obviously, you put SMU, you take their power rating and put it in Alabama's schedule. They're going to have probably 4 losses. You take Alabama, their power rating, throw it on SMU schedule. I mean, they're probably sitting at 11-1. So, tough. I mean, especially tough when there's such a big disparity between the two.
And the eyes don't lie either, because I'm sitting there watching that game, and Nick Saban pointed this out. Skill position guys, they look okay, but I just don't see, when I look at that football team, like if you brought SMU, and I know you can't do this, but let's say you put them in the SEC. 8 games in the SEC. Yeah, I mean, it's random, but what would they win? Would they go 4-4 out of 8 games in the SEC? Would they go 5-3? I mean, what do you think if you took an SMU and put them in the SEC this year?
Well, I mean, it depends on, because not everybody can be in the SEC. So,
okay,
I mean,
put them in the Big Ten.
They're going to lose 3-4 games probably. So, but obviously it depends on your draw in the SEC. If you don't look at that, look at the disparity between 2 teams new to the SEC. Look at Oklahoma's schedule and Texas's schedule this year. Big disparity. So it would depend on who they got Georgia's schedule. They're going to lose probably 4 or 5 games in conference play alone. So, it is what it is. I still come down to this. You got to beat Oklahoma. You got to beat Vanderbilt. Yep. I mean, I would have been pounding my fist if Alabama lost. Like, say their 3 losses were to, Georgia, on the road against LSU, and the Tennessee loss. That was their 3 losses. Then I think they'd actually. I know people are like, well, who'd you beat? But again, say they were 3 close losses. The case that Saban had a couple years ago when they lost 2 games, in overtime or on the final play to Tennessee and LSU, and they're both on the road. I mean, that Alabama team has an unbelievable case to make it. So the Oklahoma game I can't get over. That was just a totally unacceptable performance, and that is what nothing SMU did or the committee did cost Alabama. What cost Alabama is that night in Norman, Oklahoma.
Amen. You know what? It's like going to a steakhouse and waiting for 3 hours, and when you get to the main course, you can't even eat the steak. I mean, it was there. It was there on a platter for you. I mean, it was the best steak in the world. They put it on a platter for you, and you didn't even take a bite. You left after a 3-hour wait. I mean, that's what Alabama did. I mean, they went to Norman, Oklahoma, and it looked pitiful. I mean, it looked pitiful.
Yeah, and they were going to get the benefit out. I mean, if you're telling me, who's in 11-1 SMU or 10-2 Alabama, 10-2 Alabama's in. It's just those 2, the difference of 2 losses and how that game was lost, especially the last one, is ultimately what did end Alabama. And again, like I said, I think they didn't want to set the precedent that conference championship games don't matter. There's too much money involved there, and they weren't going to punish SMU for losing on the final play. I do think they would have punished them had they, if that score, 31-14 is the final, or it gets worse than that through the 4th quarter. Then I think Alabama would have been in. So I tweeted it. It was the absolute worst case scenario. Alabama.
I saw you, and it scared me when I saw it. When I saw you tweet that, and it said worst case scenario, and just having somebody with the knowledge that you have to be able to share that. All right, let's go to SMU at Penn State. Penn State minus the 9. Penn State minus the 9.
I lean Penn State. I just think the atmosphere that SMU is going to see is maybe the most hostile atmosphere they've seen in program history. We'll see the weather. I know it gets cold in Dallas, but it could be brutally cold, and I just don't know if they hold up at the line of scrimmage. I know they started doing some stuff late in the game against Clemson, but Penn State's a different deal. I mean, I loved what I saw from their offensive line, how they manhandled Oregon, running for 300 yards and 8.7 yards per carry. So Penn State for me.
All right, Tennessee at Ohio State. Ohio State minus the 7.5.
I lean Tennessee, just the key number on the hook. I don't trust Ryan Day in a big game at this point. I mean, it's just not the Michigan performances the last 4 years, but I mean, the Oregon game, they were favored, lost. The bowl game last year against Missouri, favored, lost. Should have lost probably to Notre Dame. So I thought Herb Street made a really excellent point. If things don't go well early for Ohio State, crowd's going to turn on Ohio State. They'll be booing right out of the gate. So they need to have some early success, and I think it's probably a slow start regardless. I mean, teams will be feeling each other out. I think both teams' defensive lines have the advantages over the opponent's offensive lines.
All right, Indiana, Notre Dame minus the 7.5 there in South Bend.
Yeah, it looks like more and more money coming on Indiana. There's a couple of 7s I'm looking at the screen right now. Oof. Well, we'll see if this is any cheaper for me. I'm going to be on Notre Dame, but I lean over more than anything at this point. I don't think Indiana's seen a run offense like what Notre Dame has, and I also think Notre Dame hasn't faced a great slate of opposing offenses. We saw USC moving up and down. So as long as the weather's not too bad, over for me, over 51.
Texas, Clemson, Texas minus the 11 there.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like Clemson. I don't. I like Texas. I just think you look at Clemson, the 4 best teams they played this year got blown out by Georgia, got blown out at home by Louisville, lost at home to South Carolina. I know they beat SMU and were up, but I mean, if that game goes to overtime, I think SMU beats them. Texas, obviously, among the, just as good as any of those teams. And hell, I mean, if you don't think that, I know Georgia beat them twice, but they were favored over Georgia just last week. So I think Texas's box scores each of the last 2 weeks against A&M and Georgia, those box scores were better than the final scores. So to me, that creates value. I'm laying it with the Longhorns.
All right, so I'm going to take you to this game here. I want to ask you 2 final questions. Right now, we're visiting with Brad Powers. Brad Powers 7, BradPowersSports.com. Brad Powers 7 on the X account. Alabama, Michigan. Alabama minus the 10 against the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, a lot of money coming in on Michigan. I don't agree with it. I think they're going to, I mean, this was a 7-5 football team with 4 or 5 guys there and go in the first 2 rounds of the draft. I expect all 4 or 5 of those guys from Michigan to opt out. So, I mean, then what do you have? I mean, you have a really bad football team. I know Alabama has some opt-outs, but I trust the backup situation in Alabama more than I do Michigan. I haven't bet it yet, but if I get lower than 10, I will have a big bet on the Crimson Tide here.
All right, final question. We are grading Kalen DeBoer today. We're giving him an overall grade for this regular season because understanding the bowl games, yeah, it's important. We might even do some stuff in January as we look back. But what grade would you give him for this season? A, B, C, D? You can do the plus, minus. Tell me.
Yeah, I'll see how the portal goes here the next. I mean, because I usually use a full calendar year. Let's see how he finishes the portal leading in the next year. I want to see how he does. I want to see the team. I don't care who's out there. I want to see a team who wants to play. I do, regardless of who's out there for Alabama. So final grade will be after the bowl game. But right now, I'm probably in that C+ range. If I like what I see the next month, then he can get upgraded to a B-.
Okay. Yeah, and we had a lot of players here today that pretty much said that they were going to play. So, that speaks a little bit about the culture here in Tuscaloosa that he's creating or maybe continuing.
Milroe, one of them? You think he's playing?
I'm going to tell you what I think he's going to do. Now, this is absolutely a prediction with no insight. Zero insight. I think he'll play a few series, and I think he'll shut it down. That's just me. Okay. That's it. I think he'll play. All right. He answers that question, but I mean, if I was advising him, and if he thinks he's going to go in the NFL draft, the way he plays is what's so risky, right? I mean, but he's the durability. That's one thing that I don't know if we can question about Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's been pretty durable. He's taken a beating.
Well, I'll tell you, if he plays, at Alabama minus 10 is cheap. I think there's some caution in the marketplace. right now. But I expect myself to have an Alabama ticket, and I just don't bet the bet. I'm feeling that one out, but I got a feeling that would be one of my bigger bets.
Brad Powers 7, BradPowers7, BradPowers.com. Brad, thank you again, and have a great rest of your week, and enjoy next week and enjoying some of those college football games. And we'll be jealous because we were kind of having our mind. I mean, think it's another one, not just going to the SEC, but you had a chance to host a darn game. I mean, like I said, it's waiting 3 hours for steak and never taking a bite of it. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care. Merry Christmas.
All right, we welcome you right back to the game. Let me tell you about El Gran Patron. Great Mexican place here on McFarland Boulevard. If you're looking for some great chimichangas, great fajitas, you'll find those. If you're looking for just an overall atmosphere, great chips and salsa, great cheese dip, go over and see my friend Carlos. Tell him the game sent you. El Gran Patron. I want to go back here for just a couple of minutes. When you look back at Jalen Milroe, yes, I do think he'll play in this game. He's already said that he's going to play in the game, right? But the question is how much? That's your question. Is, will he go the full game? Does he do a 3 or 4 series and he ducks there? I mean, Alabama jumping on him. Maybe they jump on him early. What Brad Powers said a couple of minutes ago. If they jump on him early, I don't know if he's going to play like the complete game. You asking me 4 quarters? Is it going to be just like the Iron Bowl? You take it for what it is, because playing the full length of time. Anyway, we'll get Brad Edwards jump in this conversation. It is Gridiron and the Gospel. Brad Edwards, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Things are well here, Ryan. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I mean it's weird where we were last week, the conversation around Alabama to now where we are. Like, is Jalen Milroe going to play the whole game?
Yeah.
So
I mean, but, it's a real question. Like, as you hear these players saying, "Yes, I'm playing, I'm practicing, all this sort of things." But are they going to play the full game? I mean, didn't Bryce Young a couple of years ago? Yeah, he played in the game, but wasn't it late in the game? They kind of gave him his walkout or whatever. I think they did.
Well, that game ended up not being, if I remember, that was the Kansas State game.
It was.
Which did get out of hand like early third quarter, I believe. And so I think that was the type of game that I don't know that they took him out any earlier than they would have if it had been the regular season. But that's the question with this one: is Michigan, going to be rolled over? I mean, can Alabama? First of all, Alabama did that to very few, Power 4 teams this season. Just put them away and do it rather handily. And the other thing is that Michigan, if I'm, thinking back to at least 2 of the better teams they played this year, especially, late in the season, they were really the only ones that Indiana beat that was close. That was a close game. Obviously, Indiana had a loss to Ohio State, but between giving Indiana a 4-quarter fight and then beating Ohio State, I don't know that you can look at the Michigan team that played the last few weeks and say, okay, Alabama's going to run them out of the stadium. I think it comes down to turnovers and stuff like that. But I mean, I'll say this: Michigan's better than Oklahoma. So, I mean, take that and do what you will with it. But I'm just not going to sit here before the game and say, it sets up to where you could give a quarterback or anybody an early curtain call, unless that's scripted. If it's already been discussed with the player and it's like, okay, well, you're going to play the first half, whatever it is, that's the way I could see it working out. Otherwise, I don't expect Alabama to go out there and win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Vegas has got this thing at like 10 points. But let's go back to the committee. You're a guy that studies numbers. In your opinion, did they get it right?
I have a hard time saying they got it wrong.
Okay.
I do. Look, I mean, a lot of people were saying this the night before, after we had the result of the ACC championship game, that it was a no-win situation. You are either going to diminish schedule strength or you're going to diminish the conference championship game. And, they chose to preserved value in reaching the conference championship game and going out there and fighting to try to win a conference title instead of, teams in future seasons deciding they want to opt out of the conference championship game so they don't get punished by the selection committee. With all of that said, given that there wasn't really a great answer for the selection committee, I get that Alabama at its best, when Alabama brings the A game, it's better than SMU's A game. I get that there's a big disparity in not only schedule strength, but quality of wins, like as far as who did you beat. But I also can't sit here and honestly say, as someone who watched both teams play quite a few times during the season, I can't say that I think Alabama is a lot better than SMU. I mean, on a week in, week out basis, SMU was more consistent than Alabama. I mean, the upside might not be as high, but I also don't think the floor is as low. I mean, I don't think SMU would lose to Vanderbilt, and I don't think they would lose to Oklahoma. Now, could they beat Georgia? I doubt it. Could they go into Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night and win? Maybe not. So I think that's kind of what you're stuck with the selection committee is like, how do you define best? And if best has something to do with consistency, game in and game out over the course of a season, then I could see the argument for SMU, but I could also see a number of arguments for Alabama. In the grand scheme of things, I know nobody's really interested in silver linings that much, but I think, and I can't remember who I first heard say this, but I totally agree with it, is that the message that this would send to the Alabama team if they were to get into the playoffs is that, hey, you know what? You can go out there and slop around a few times, lose to some teams that had no business beating you, and you'll still get a chance to play for the national title. I think as far as what's best for this team and the program over the next few years, as long as players who are on the 24 roster are still out there wearing an Alabama uniform, I think it's good for them that they didn't get in, and they know that the bar has to be raised if they're going to be a team that expects to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, Brad, with all that being said, before we kind of shut the door on Alabama, what grade would you give Kalen DeBoer? I know we've got one more game and you're trying to manage the portal, but the season, what would you say? What would you say is fair? Because that's what we've been doing today, kind of handing out some grades.
Yeah,
12 games.
I would probably go with something like a B-.
Okay.
I know that most people would say, look, it's Alabama. Look what Saban laid as a foundation and some of the talent that was still there, expanded to a 12-team playoff, and you still didn't get in. Like, some people would say that's an F, or best case, that's a C. I think you also have to consider, in defense of DeBoer, first of all, what he had to deal with as far as the roster turnover. And we easily forget, but I know, pretty much everybody listening to the show does remember what happened when Saban announced his retirement. All the guys that left, you bring in what you can from the portal to fill as many of those gaps as possible. And some of those guys worked out well. Some others, maybe there was a drop off from what there was last year to what there was this year. But then, there's obviously more to it as far as DeBoer has a particular way that he prefers to play, especially on offense. And I don't know how many of the guys who were on this roster would have been guys that he would have handpicked, to play in his ideal style of offense. I think just to a large extent, he did have to kind of adjust to what he had on the roster. And I don't mean that in terms of talent. I just mean it in terms of, I think he's someone who would prefer more of a pocket passer. I think he's someone who would prefer offensive linemen who are maybe a little bit better suited to pass blocking than run blocking. Not to say that run blocking isn't important, but I think that's what we're going to see moving forward. Is that the general type of guys he has out there are different types of bodies and different types of skill sets than what we saw on this year's roster. And I think that has to be taken in consideration as well. And so they didn't hire him to come in and run the type of offense that he ran this year. I think, the reason they hired him is what we'll see in, next year and the next couple of years after that. And will that be better? That remains to be seen, but the pressure's on DeBoer to show that this year was an aberration.
If I told you this stat, I'm going to tell you, when I looked it up this week, I see the season play out, but I mean, you're a stat guy. Many times when you compile the stats and you're looking at it, if I told you Jalen Milroe has not thrown a passing touchdown in an SEC game since Tennessee, would you believe me?
I am surprised by that, but not shocked. I do remember at one point, that he was on pace to do what only, I think it was Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, and Johnny Manziel had done as far as, 20 rushing touchdowns and 20 passing touchdowns in the season. And I believe all three of them did it in the regular season. And I remember, and I remember as it started to get closer to the end of the season, looking at those numbers and thinking he's not going to get there on the passing touchdowns more than likely. But no, I was not aware that he basically went the second half of the conference schedule without throwing a touchdown pass. He
did play the non-conference game, Mercer, and he did have 2 there. So I got to give credit for there. But against Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn, he did not have a passing touchdown. And if you want to add up all the stats in the SEC, 8 games in the SEC, he threw 5 touchdown passes and he threw 10 interceptions in those SEC games. That stops me in my tracks.
Right. Yeah, and we've talked over the last couple of months about the unfortunate thing about a quarterback with Milroe's skill set is that you're kind of dumb if you don't use him as a runner because he is so explosive in that capacity. Yet every time he runs the ball, that's taking away a touch from talented running backs, talented receivers, potentially assuming a pass is thrown on target. And so it just, you're just concentrating your offense, basically you're putting it on the shoulders of one guy. And look, if every game was like the LSU game where he's breaking long runs on a regular basis, then absolutely that's the way to play winning football is just ride him. But considering how many times in conference play he was not all that effective as a runner, it kind of shows what DeBoer was dealing with. And look, and I'll say this in defense of Milroe, I have no doubt that there are some offensive coordinators out there who could have used Milroe's skill set better, who would love to have the type of quarterback he is and to be able to build an offense around that. And his numbers, while I don't know that the passing numbers would have been any higher, I think his overall productivity would have been greater. But once again, that's not the type of offense that DeBoer wants to run. And to be honest, it wasn't the type of offense that Saban really wanted to run either. So, I'm very interested to see what Milroe does on the professional level because, like a lot of people, I didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to do anything in the NFL. And obviously, he's proved a lot of people wrong. And I think there's a possibility that Milroe could do the same. But as of right now, just looking at him from what he did at Alabama, I don't see an NFL quarterback. But that's why I'm not a scout because those guys see a lot of things I don't see.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, he's had a great career here in Tuscaloosa, but it's and a lot of that's unfair because of so many coordinators, right? I mean, he's went through Bill O'Brien, he's went through Tommy Rees. But to also be fair, whatever Bill O'Brien and Tommy Rees and Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan could not connect, who's to say that NFL guy is going to be able to get it to all gel together to be able to get him to play? And listen, he's got an amazing skill set, but he's also had a lot of opportunities too, and he's had a lot of great wide receivers here in Tuscaloosa. So and Kalen DeBoer even this week on a Zoom call, not apologized, but he said he appreciated the unselfishness of Alabama's wide receivers to do things that it took to win the football games.
Yeah, I get that, because that meant running the ball a lot more. Like, their personnel was better suited to running the ball than passing the ball because of partly because of the type of quarterback they have, but to some degree, I would say the type of offensive tackles that they have as well. So we'll see how different it is in the future. But yeah, I hate to pile on Milroe,
sure,
because I don't think by any stretch that you can put a lot more blame on him than many other people for the way that things worked out.
Well, and I think the other part that you must say, for this team and for last year's team, he was the best option. They didn't have they didn't have another option. So nobody's saying that they played the wrong guy. It's just this offense, I think, is going to look, if he chooses to go to the NFL, this Kalen DeBoer offense, we're going to look back and go, we didn't even really brush the surface with what the offense is going to be capable of really accomplishing.
Yeah.
Brad, let's go into a lot of different things right here when we dive into this college football playoff game, and we probably won't have time to kind of go to all of it, but there's one game that maybe you're looking at saying, I must make an appointment to watch this in the college football, these early rounds.
I would, it's the easy pick because it's the 8-9, but I think Tennessee at Ohio State is the most intriguing to me. Just because it's the one that I look at where I say, hey, you know what, the quality of talent on both sides seems pretty even to me, at least to the point where maybe the visiting team has a chance to go in there. I say that with the understanding that Clemson is one of the visiting teams, but I don't like Clemson's chances of going into Texas and winning. I think Georgia matches up well with Texas, but most other teams have not. So yeah, I look at Tennessee, and especially because of Tennessee's strength on the defensive front. Ohio State, I don't know as they've been dominant on the offensive line most of this season, but certainly after Seth McLaughlin went out, they have struggled a good bit, and I think that is an opportunity for Tennessee. And I don't really think Ohio State's going to score a lot of points in this game. So I think it really comes down to, and let me also add, I think Tennessee can run the ball in Ohio State. I think it really comes down to how well Nico plays and does he throw some picks. And I think he was starting to figure it out toward the end of the season. I know that their level of competition after Georgia wasn't great, but I think he was getting better down the stretch. We'll see, because Ohio State still does have a good defense. But if he doesn't miss open receivers or throw picks, I think Tennessee wins this game. And to me, that is the biggest chance for a seed upset in the first round.
What do you think about Ryan Day when you look at it from that standpoint? If they lose that game at home,
yeah,
uncomfortable Christmas.
Obviously, the context for this is that it's not just that they might go without winning a playoff game. It's that this particular team, and this is completely aside from the fact that they lost at home to Michigan and lost to Michigan for the fourth year in a row. Even putting that to the side, the way that they pieced this team together for the purpose of winning a national title, with all the NIL money and going out and getting getting guys like Judkins, like Caleb Downs. They thought that they had kind of filled all their holes, and if anything, the quarterback was the one. I think for most people was the only question mark going into the season. Howard has not been bad. Overall, I think his numbers are good. He's not been great in the biggest games, but he's not the only problem. And so, yeah, if it's one thing to not win the national championship, but if they don't even get out of the first round, don't get to the quarterfinals, that heat's going to turn up. I don't know how realistic it is that he could lose his job or that he would step down. But I know there are going to be a bunch of people that want him to if they don't beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the word. I was on a conference call a couple of weeks ago with Senator Tommy Tuberville, and he certainly had a lot of NIL initiatives, and him and Ted Cruz have had several symposiums, and I know Nick Saban has participated in this. I had a chance to jump in and had to waller through all the different political side of it, but then when we got to the NIL conversation, he used the word that I have not heard a lot of people use, but he used the word donor fatigue. And if you look at Ryan Day, he goes back to a millionaire booster that gave him all this money from last year, and he goes, hey, can I have more money? I'd probably be a little hesitant in that investment.
Well, look, that's the thing with all this NIL. And look, we don't know what rules or laws are coming down the pike that could change it anyway. But, go back to that Texas A&M class that ranked number 1 a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, whatever it was. You can only do that for so long, get that type of financial support from the boosters, if it's turning into wins on the field. And when Jimbo didn't go out there and have a great season with those guys, I mean, look, we know this. If you want to get your talent to the national championship level, you don't do it with one great recruiting class. You do it by stacking top 5 classes on top of each other. And that's why the Alabama dynasty, that's why it existed, is because of the recruiting. So that becomes the big thing. So if you're Ohio State, now look, whether you're spending that money on high school guys or transfers or whatever, the results have to be there. And I think the same thing is going to be true with Michigan for all the money that they've spent to, bring in that quarterback and whoever else they've paid along with that. It creates a lot of excitement to get those players, but if they don't win, and if there's nothing that's locking them into being there for 3 years, then it can all go south in a hurry and end up being a tremendous waste of money. And so, that's why I just think this whole thing is going to level out at some point where the excitement over being able to buy a roster. Even look at Ole Miss to a certain degree. I mean, Ole Miss went out and they spent a lot of money to fill the right gaps. And to be honest with you, I think Ole Miss's team was good enough that they could have beaten anybody in the country on a given day if they had gotten in the playoffs. But they didn't do it. And ultimately, it's about results. And so how often are those guys going to continue to write those checks? It's just a lot harder to do if you don't feel like you're getting anything back for it. And that it doesn't matter what school you are. I don't care if you're Texas with all their money. If you're not winning championships or coming really close, eventually that well's going to go somewhat dry.
J. Brad Edwards, you can find him on the X account, J. Brad Edwards, Gridiron and Gospel, Gridiron and the Gospel. You can find him where you get your podcast. Brad, I enjoyed the chat, man. I looked up and we're 21 minutes in. I'm sorry. Crazy. It's great stuff. It's very good insight, and I appreciate you being part of our conversation, man. Thank you. Have a great rest of your...
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Brad Edwards helping us out there. We'll break right here. We'll come back. Final hour belongs to you. We're getting phone calls right here. We've said it. I know we probably we are talking little Alabama Crimson Tide football, and we are powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're going to go to Tampa, where Kalen DeBoer just spoke. It's about 4 minutes long. We will go there coming up here in just a couple of minutes. The Toyotathon is happening. How about a Camry? How about a Corolla, RAV4, Highlander? How about one of those nice big 4-wheel drive Tundras decked out? Put a little bow on there, put that up under the Christmas tree. Or maybe it's one of the vehicles, Camry, Corolla. You can find those. Pre-owned inventory. Take a look at it. Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're going to continue right here with phone calls, and we'll do that if Kalen DeBoer is ready. Let's go to Tampa, Florida. Kalen DeBoer at the ReliaQuest Bowl. Wow, that's even hard to say, man. Just go ahead and kick me in the gut. Why don't you just go ahead and kick me in the gut?
Hey, at least it's not the Birmingham Bowl.
ReliaQuest Bowl. The coach's arrival, and they'll come back to Tuscaloosa, but they flew down today for a introduction This is Kalen DeBoer speaking just a couple of minutes ago in Tampa.
Like being in Tampa to play in the Rose?
Well, we'll find out, but just, the opportunity to continue to play is great for our team. Continue to work and practice. There's a finish we want to have to this season, and there's also a development piece that comes along with more opportunities to be on the football field for our younger guys too. So, anytime I'm with our team, it's a great feeling, and looking forward to having a week down here coming up after Christmas to be able to get ready for the game.
Now, how excited are the players to be playing in this game?
Yeah, again, every opportunity we get to have a chance to be together. It's obviously going to be beautiful weather down here. Getting ready to, compete against a very good program and team in Michigan. So that test, is what we're building for. That's what we work for. And they, again, every time they get a chance to compete, they enjoy that.
Now, you've obviously taken over for Nick Saban as head coach. Now, can you just kind of describe how you've adapted into that role?
Adapted into what?
Into the role.
Into the role? Yeah, you become head coach, and it's both feet in, right? And every day is a day where you're trying to grow the culture and build on build to the vision that you have set forth. That's on the field, that's off the field. And it starts with hiring your staff, and so just all season long or all year long, it's something you're just pouring into. You don't even get a chance to sit back and think about where you're at or how far you've come until really afterwards, and you have to reflect and then do it all over again. So it's awesome being the head coach here. Love our team, love the fan base, love everything that comes along with being here at Alabama.
Now, have you ever spent any time in Tampa before?
Nothing beyond just in and out, maybe here and there, some recruiting and so forth. So yeah, not a lot.
This is a rematch of the semifinals. How much do you think that's going to carry over? Will it?
I think there's a lot of changes. We're talking from coaching staffs to probably 35 guys on our roster that are different just from a scholarship standpoint. So yeah, everyone's aware of it, but I think this is more for us, at least, about our team this year and the journey we're on, and knowing that, yeah, we're facing a program that's had a lot of success as well. Understanding also, I know for me, that there are guys on our team that just lined up against them, less than a year ago. So, but I think that, again, that we're so focused on what we can control, who we are right now, and trying to be the best we can be for the 2024 team.
You got any sense from fans if they're excited about this?
I honestly haven't. I haven't been around them a lot. Just really our team. They're going through practices and getting ready, finishing up finals, and so that's what we've been really focused on right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, so that's Kalen DeBoer and doing a photo opportunity. It does. It's a helmet game, right? When you look at Michigan and Alabama, and that is what it is. It's not what we're looking for. It's like going to a steakhouse and having a garlic bread and toast or something. I don't know. It's Lord Tommy Thunder. Maybe you could describe this better. What's it like? Tommy?
Can you get me?
Yes, we got you. We misfired.
Oh, good, because I was getting worried. Because I was going to have to file a complaint against the FCC or whatever your organization is, or Chick-fil-A. Something. Well, how are you, Ron?
Well, I'm trying to describe what would it be like to go down to Michigan and Alabama. If I gave you free tickets, would you drive to Tampa to watch the game?
Sure.
I don't believe you.
Well, I have to have a chauffeur because people don't like my driving, so I don't know if my brother would go. But, yeah,
I know there's some Alabama fans that live locally that are pretty excited to see the Crimson Tide. I heard from one of them last night.
Did you? Well, good. Well, yeah. It's good to go to a bowl game. I wish everybody quit pouring mouthing it. We could be like Auburn, sitting at home milking cows.
Tommy, I would have bet you that if you went to the Michigan side, they'd be the same way. They just came off a national title. We were both in the college football playoffs, and now we're playing in some bowl that most of us don't even know what it is. I mean, it used to be the Outback. Before that was the Hall of Fame. Before that, it was the, I don't know, Tangerine, Lemon, whatever it is. I mean,
Well, let me ask you this. Let's just think for a moment. Everybody's belly and aching about a 9-3. You want a grade on Kalen DeBoer. What did Michigan fans think about their first year coach until the 12th game? They beat him.
Has he even, and I don't follow the Michigan program, but has he even got a contract? Wasn't he playing without a contract this first year? It's like, prove it.
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so much crap.
Hey, tickets, I just checked on tickets down, and they're actually more than what I thought they were. What do you think tickets are for this game down at Raymond James Stadium?
140.
No, not less. 85.
85. I was going to say 80. I probably just went high since you said, well, I'm surprised at the price of tickets.
No, you get down in between the 50s, you'll go 175. Here's some $200.
Sure. But, yeah, I mean, it's a bowl game. We could be sitting at home bragging about our fourth straight losing season at Auburn or printing up shirts.
Great reminder. That's why we paid Lord Tommy Thunder the big bucks right there, man.
That's right. I got your letter today. I can't wait for my Christmas stocking. I told Jackson. Did Jackson tell you what I said? I'm really enjoying the lint you sent me, but it wasn't enough. I thought it was going to be a shoebox, but you just sent me an envelope. For a moment, I thought you were trying to send me anthrax or something. But go ahead.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember sending you anything, and I'm not sure that anybody with this radio station approved it.
They had Ryan Fowler. I'm so sorry. That's all it had on it.
We're gonna have to get Digger since we know his name and his address. We're gonna ship him something.
Oh, wow! You know his name.
We busted him. Yeah, we busted him. He slipped up and said it on the air.
Well, goody for all of us. I mean, so what? No, the game is important because it adds to our tradition, and we lost them last year, and we want to show them they don't own us. And Kalen DeBoer lost them in the championship game. His coaches that came from Washington and the players from last year's team of Alabama, if they have any class, want to show something. And this would be a good start to begin the 25 season. There's something to play for. You know, if you want to go, if you're ready to go pro football, I wish you well. Just move on. It's an opportunity to play again, to wear the crimson jersey. Not many people get to wear it. Less than 1% ever get to wear that jersey. Enjoy it, because it'll be gone soon enough. So, it's just, I'm looking forward to the game, but no, am I going? No, my days of climbing an upper deck, sitting on row 99.
Last time I was in that stadium, we got beat by Clemson in 2016. Did we not pick play? Wasn't that Deshaun Watson?
Yes, and not Renfro, I think, was the receiver.
And the kickoff is what killed us. The kickoff coverage. We were horrible on the kickoff coverage because we scored with that big run from Jalen Hurts. I think it was 32 yards right down the middle of the field. And we kicked off, and what happened? They ran it down across midfield.
Yeah.
If my memory serves me well. And then.
Yeah, it was not very pleasant. Just kind of like what they did to SMU the other night.
But hey, double-digit wins to continue that. Also, how many years have we had a double-digit win?
Well, it'll be 17 if he gets to win. That's things to play for. It helps so the certain players who are senior.
And I think it speaks a lot about the culture too. A great point.
It really.
All right, Tommy, you got me fired up.
Good.
Somebody got a private jet. Maybe we can take it down to Tampa.
Yeah.
Anybody? Tommy Thunder and I. We'll pay for the gas.
Well, yeah. We'll start a GoMe.
Brian Harden, where you at?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah. Gomi Fund. Help send Tommy and Ron to the bowl game. And we can invite Kristen, too. I mean, make it.
No, we'll take everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
some would not have the first class seats like you would, but
That's right. Yeah. Because,
hey, did you hear Bama Nick give you some compliments the other day?
yeah.
I mean, you guys are like, the olive branch and the Christmas
I got some bad
time.
news for you. I got some bad news.
Okay.
I think he quit drinking. I think he's doing crack. I mean, that just didn't sound like him. Yeah. Praising people.
Okay.
Guys, I mean, I don't know. Well, it's nice to get compliments. I mean, it's better than me calling a moron every day. He was very good doing that. I got kicked out of the one in Huntsville, the moron of the year.
That was good.
I wonder who was going to win that from this show.
I don't want to steal that, but they say don't reinvent the wheel. Maybe we should. You think Drew could loan us that, and maybe we could vote on it or something?
Another name.
The Moron of the Year award.
Mr. Obvious.
Well, who would you vote for?
I got several would be hard, but right now it start with a J. I say Joseph. Okay.
Joseph. Now, be careful, Tommy. He's like 2 callers behind you.
I don't care because he sit there and whine and fuss about Melrose. You want to? Nick said I come up with a very important fact, which I do. I like to. I'm gonna give you another one. You might not be able to stand it 4 days in a row. Well, you didn't take my call yesterday because you got talking about deer hunting, and my brother wanted me to ask you a deer question. I said, no, you got to call the show. I don't intercede. I'm not a telecommunication person. The question I was going to ask, he wanted to know if the rut was in, but there's a cold weather and all this around here because he's going to go Saturday for the first time since he can go hunting. So he's looking forward to that. He's gradually being his main honorary self again. Thanks again for all the prayers. We really appreciate it. Got me on the thing. I forgot. I got a question at Joe. He's talking about how bad Melrose was, and if he comes back, he'll cost the boy his job. I looked up a bunch of Alabama quarterbacks since Nick Saban been quarterback. A lot of them got 20 wins or 25. Nobody can beat A.J. McCarron. But you know what? Jalen Milroe is not at the bottom. And for the fact of people, I don't want to jinx them, I won't tell you the number. Let me put it this way to you, Joseph. He got more wins in 2 years than Hugh Hefner got at Auburn. Think about that for a moment. Right now, he got 20 wins. Melrose, the starting quarterback, Alabama, and Hugh Hefner only got 11 and 14. Think about that. Who would you rather have? I'd rather have Melrose as my quarterback. Period. I wouldn't want to have Hugh Freeze as my coach for the freaking ping-pong team of the University of Alabama. So I don't know that tied into anything, but hey, I thought it was a very little fact. He's such a bad quarterback. He's such a loser. He got 20 wins in 2 years. I don't know.
Roll Tide.
Did that just really impress you? Or do you really don't care?
No.
Okay. Are you eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich? Or are you getting a very?
No, I'm really. I mean, we've had several great guests today, but the problem is they speak the truth, and it's kind of stung, to be honest with you. I can't move to these things that maybe I just haven't processed it as quick, but it is. My analogy was it'd be like going to the best steakhouse in the world. They're going to serve it on a platter, and what happens? You decide that you're not going to eat the steak, and that's what Alabama did. I mean, we went to Norman, Oklahoma, and we laid an egg, and it cost. And losing, there's consequences. So, all right, I gotta run Lord Tommy Thunder. Is this your really new name?
Yeah, because I think the kids at Mississippi Valley in the 5th, 8th grade, they must be reading Harry Potter or something, because somebody asked me, why won't people say your name on the radio? They'll talk all about you, but they won't say. Well,
so it's Lord Tommy Thunder. That's
well, you know the book Harry Potter. You're not supposed to say the name Lord Voldemort, and they laughed. And my little twins came up with that. I was impressed with them. I said, "Well, I'm glad to read it." Said, "I guess we're not supposed to say your name, so they must have called you Lord Tommy Thunder, because they hear you call me Thunder. I got called by Tommy
Thunder. Thunder. This is going to be your new theme song. All right, I got to run, Tommy Thunder. I appreciate you, man.
All right, have a good one. Talk to you later, man.
You do as well. Thank you. Tommy Thunder helping us out there. TheStandardBama.com, home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni, meat, lovers, cheese. Design your own wings, boneless wings, cheese sticks. You'll find those. It is TheStandardBama.com. Full-service restaurant, University Boulevard, also available by DoorDash. TheStandardBama.com. Carry out also an option. TheStandardBama.com. We're going to get to many other callers. Mary, get ready. Joseph, get ready. Marty, get ready. Bama Nick, get ready. Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many, many, many more. 60 number of boots. 60 different brands of boots. Waterproof boots, insulated boots, casual boot, western boot, work boot, steel-toed boot. People in West Alabama work extremely hard. You got to have that apparel to match their hard work, but also Western wear for the entire family. You can find it at The Wharf. Since 1976, you go by one of our great sponsors, El Gran Patron, on the right-hand side of the road. Next shopping center, you'll find The Wharf right there, open until 6 p.m. daily, Monday through Saturday. And then you'll find our friends. If you go past the blue plates, you've went too far. Turn around and go right there to The Wharf, the work in Western wear for the entire family since 1976. And also want to remind you about Seize the Deal. Seize the Deal will go live tomorrow morning. Seize the Deal. And we're going to be giving away we're going to do some things tomorrow. But we'll remind you about Seize the Deal. Seize the Deal. And still some opportunities there, save some money. Go to Tide109.com, Tide109.com. And also that big old buck hunting contest. That's always a lot of fun. And I'm still looking for some camera photos. Jackson, am I eligible for this big old buck hunting contest?
Are you a big old buck hunter?
Well, I am, but, I might be able to do like the committee and, pay them to grade it a little bit more, maybe 120 class deer turns into a 160 class deer. Hicks taxidermist, think I can give him a couple 20s maybe? What do you think? Maybe? No?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe might be. But Sterling Slices and Sweets, still the option there. $25 for $12.50. So great way to save some cash. Let's go here to Mary. Mary in Atlanta. Mary, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good. I wish people quit bringing up this deadgum Oklahoma game because it stings.
It does. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. So it rings a little bit lately, doesn't it?
It does, because everybody keeps bringing it up. I mean, and they're correct.
Yeah.
I think Alabama deserved in the playoff? Absolutely.
Right.
But also think.
But don't let that be the main focus of why we shouldn't be. I feel like they're using the Oklahoma game to be more of the main focus of why we're not in the playoffs, but there's probably a couple more reasons why. But don't let that be the only reason why we're not in the playoffs.
So, here we are.
Yep, here we are. Well, it looks like congratulations are in order for Bill Belichick for landing that North Carolina coaching job today. I heard it was official today.
And
congrats.
Here's the crazy thing. If you went to sleep and woke up, you wouldn't even recognize it. You'd be like, Bill Belichick coaching in college football?
Never thought you'd see it.
No. I can't imagine him, going out there, and it'd be crazy. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But congrats to him. But as far as I've been listening off and on since at work and being at home, just relaxing and everything. I've got the dog sitting on my lap right now. As far as like my grade, I think would be for coach this year. I'm gonna go A. Just a flat
Mary with an A. Now we've had 2 A's today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, actually, we've had 3 A's today. We had JR, and we had an A-, and now we've got an A for Mary. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just overall in general, I mean, he's putting his mark on Alabama.
Yes, he is.
He's making this his own, and that's in his favor for sure. I mean, he did fill some big shoes. I mean, I will forever say thank you to Coach Saban for all that he did for the program. Definitely greatest of all time. Thank you, Coach. But I'm loving watching Coach DeBoer just make this his own. And, you know, just the recruiting that he's doing for us, for getting guys in for the next season. I'm excited about it. And I'm loving him, watching him make his mark for us in Alabama. I absolutely love it.
Can we also allow Coach DeBoer to put more of his mark? I know Nick Saban's the greatest ever walked the sidelines, but everywhere he goes, like the guy in Tampa a while ago asking him, well, what's it like to replace Nick Saban? Have we not heard that 1,274 times?
A lot. We've heard it a lot.
I mean, it's hey, what's it like to replace Nick Saban? What's it like to what's it like to see Nick Saban? What's it like for him to be down the hall? Oh, please, people.
Just let Coach DeBoer do Coach DeBoer. Okay.
Yes, please, absolutely. I mean, you said it, which gave me an opportunity to kind of jump in. I love it. It's like it's just getting old. It's just everywhere he goes. Yeah. Please, I mean, because he's not acting like he's tired of it, but I know I'm tired of hearing him answer it.
Right. I mean, obviously, he answers with such demeanor and grace and everything.
Yes, he does.
And I love hearing him talk with such positivity and everything. I was listening to the audio that you played earlier. Every time I hear him talk, I hear such positivity, even though there may be certain moments, and there were throughout the season, to where we had a hiccup or whatever. And maybe I
need to be more positive. Maybe that's my problem. I need to be more positive.
We could all be a little bit more positive, I feel like. But just hearing him talk, no matter hiccups or not, positive, negative, he always with such demure and grace and everything. And I just love how he just keeps everything calm and cool, simple. And that's what we need. I mean, just keep it that way and we're cool. We're letting Coach do his thing, and I absolutely love it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to do in the Reliquis Bowl. On New Year's, I'll be off that day. So looking forward to watching that game at home.
All right, Mary, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Have a good day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
It is, Ryan Fowler. It is. And my day got a lot better when I read something today. So,
what'd you read?
I read, I think it's Touchdown Alabama Magazine, something like that. Jerry Miller was talking about the 25 quarterback. And he says, I think that group's got an opportunity to be special, and there's a lot of talent in there, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, it sounds like he got his mind made up about the draft. I mean, really, because he's talking about the future 25 quarterback.
What would you do? What would you do? Because I know you're not a big Milroe guy, and I am. What would you do if Jalen decided that he come out and made it public? He said, you know what? I'm out of here. I've been listening to Joseph over there on the game on Tide 100.9, and I'm going to take his advice and go to the NFL. What would you do? Would you throw a party?
You dang right. I would take off running, Ryan Fowler, and hopping and jumping and screaming and shouting hallelujah.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you, that Tommy Thunder is an idiot. He is the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life. Going to compare a quarterback and a head coach. That is an idiot if I've ever saw one.
Joseph is too close to Christmas, man. Santa Claus is going to be watching you, man.
And he wants to talk about being. He wants to talk about being dumb. Well, it's easy to talk across the phone about being dumb. I bet he wouldn't say it to my face. I can guarantee you that, because I guarantee you would have a fat lip. I can tell you that right now,
Joseph.
I mean, because it's easy to talk trash on the radio, but come on, big boy, let's go talk it face to face. we'll get down and dirty with it. I don't play this. This sort of phone game where hey, let's talk trash over the phone. No, it ain't gonna be talk trash. We can meet up and sell this like men. You know what I'm talking about?
So you're not threatening him, are you?
I ain't threatening nobody. I'm just saying I ain't gonna sit there and be one of these little trash talkers. If you got a problem with me, we can meet up and settle like men.
Okay. All right. Well,
but anyways,
I don't want to get no fights. I mean, that's the last thing we need to do is get in a fight. I mean, this is football. We're not debating who stole somebody's girlfriend.
No, well, I'm just saying he ain't gonna sit there and talk about me on the radio and try and dog my name like he's doing.
Well, Joseph, that hadn't bothered you for the last 6 months. Why does it bother you now?
Because I mean, he's the main one that does it. Ain't nobody else does it but him. He's the main one that does it. So I mean, if he's got that big of a problem with me, we need to settle like men. But other than that, he needs to keep my name out of his mouth. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, man, I can talk to you, and you know I don't mind because you're
but we don't disagree. We disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah, we disagree on a lot of things, but you know I'm right, Ryan Fowler, on a lot of stuff I say. You know I am, and the experts agree with me. Josh from College Football Nerds, everybody, a lot of people agree with me what I say, Ryan Fowler. You know it.
Well, I did look up the stats earlier, and it was a little, earlier this week I looked at it because somebody brought it to my attention, said, go look this up. And I did. I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, please, 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 please. No, this can't be true. It can't be true.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you heard Josh from College Football. He broke down the Oklahoma game why Miro struggled. He broke it down in depth why he struggled. And it's embarrassing. He's even told you, you let the guy show the kid the door at least, you know what I'm talking about? A lot of these, Ryan, they get paid for their opinions. I don't get paid for my opinion, but they get paid for their opinion. And they're saying the same thing I say, but when I'm saying I'm a dumb.
We mailed you a check, Joseph. You didn't get it?
No, I didn't get it. But I'm going to tell you, they get paid for their opinions.
At least I got you to smile. I mean, at least I got you to laugh a little bit.
All I'm saying is, listen, they want to call me idiot and they want to call me dumb. But won't you call Barrett Salee? Won't you call Josh from College Football dumb? Because they saying the same thing I'm saying.
Well, I think they're having a little bit more of a constructive way of saying it. That's where you got to work on it. But we're going to get you there. We're going to send you to the symposium. Bama Nick is going to be doing a symposium, and we're going to send you that free of charge.
Hey, Keelan Russell, baby. Keelan Russell.
Bama Nick teaches people how to be polite, nice, and kind.
Do you think we go to the transfer portal and get a quarterback, Ryan Fowler?
Go to church.
No, transfer portal.
No, I don't. I think we're okay.
You don't think you don't think the boys will get somebody experienced to compete with them?
We got to find out if Milroy's coming back first.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to make a prediction right now, Ryan Fowler.
Okay.
If he comes back, we're going to have 3 losses, if not more.
Oh, Lord.
Next year, if he comes back.
I can't take it.
And you know what? And you know I've been right, Ryan Fowler.
Oh, yeah, every time. Thanks, Joseph. Roll Tide. Hey, give me a grade for Kalen DeBoer. What do you want to give him? What do you want to give him? Because we don't have a lot of time.
I'm going to give him an A+ because Kalen DeBoer is working with what he's got to work with.
A+. Whew. Tell you what.
Well, he's the most winningest. He's the winningest first-year coach. He's tied with the guy, Frank Thomas.
Tell you what. If you'd have been my college professor, I'd have made it to med school. Not sure I'd have passed med school, but I'd have been there.
Nick Saban went 7-6 his first year. Nick Saban went 7-6.
He did.
Kalen DeBoer went 9-3.
That's right. All right, I got to run, man. Roll Tide. We'll continue. Let's go to Cowboy out in Texas. Cowboy, good afternoon. You're in the game.
How you doing, Ryan?
Man, I'm incredible. Man, life is just swell. Talking to Joseph every day, it's a highlight of my day, man.
Is Joseph a fan of Kalen DeBoer?
He's a huge fan of Kalen DeBoer, not so much of Jalen Milroe.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Well, I mean,
what did you think of What'd you think of the hire of Bill Belichick up there in Tobacco Row today, up under all those pine trees?
You know, it's hard to see where college football is going, but maybe a guy that has been an NFL GM, maybe a guy that has been he's bringing in Michael Lombardi, which has also been an NFL GM too.
Well, you know, you just said something. You said he's been an NFL GM. And
Yeah.
He brought in an NFL GM. At least they're certified GMs and been in those roles at an NFL team, where Alabama has just a certified street agent as a GM.
A street agent?
Yeah.
Courtney Morgan?
Yeah. Courtney Morgan.
I tell you what, I want you to do something. You go to RollTide.com. You ever been there?
Yeah. Yeah. They're paying a street agent
No.
$850,000.
No, I'm not talking about that. I want you to go to football, go to roster. Right above there, there's going to be a coach tab. Okay.
Yeah, I know all the websites, right?
I know. But have you ever read his bio? I think if you went and looked at all the people.
He was a financial guy. And then he wanted to be in football, so he gave up that, and he got out there being a street agent for young kids, and then he worked his way up to.
So you're not saying that disrespectful. You're just saying he's been a street agent. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's disrespectful. That's what he is, a street agent.
But I mean, he's worked for one of the biggest mutual funds in the entire world, Vanguard.
That's fine. But he gave that up to go out and.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, there's some cash in that mutual fund stuff, is there not?
Well, yeah, but I don't think he was making $850,000 like he is now. He went for short term, losing its hold of a big money for long term gain, and he did it.
Well, whatever it is, Alabama. Did you check the recruiting rankings? He was number 2.
That's in 03's opinion.
Okay, well, 3 in other 247 composite. Where you want to go?
Hey, how did Courtney Morgan do in the state of Alabama recruiting?
How did Nick Saban do in this in-state recruiting?
He did well.
In some years he did.
Alabama,
but
wait, time out. I knew you were going there. When Nick Saban first got to Alabama, he didn't lose anybody in state. And then after he established his program and could go nationwide more, he lost a few in the state. But he never lost anybody that was going to make a difference at Alabama. So you're telling me Peter Woods would make a difference at Alabama? He looks like he's been eating a lot of cheeseburgers with Dabo when they go have McDonald's.
Whoa. You can't put that on Kalen DeBoer. Peter Woods?
I'm not.
Who are you putting it on?
But you were talking about Nick Saban lost in-state guys.
Well, he did lose in-state guys. How many times? I mean, it's just not Peter Woods. Look at the in-state guys.
Name me another one, Ryan.
What's the wide receiver from Phoenix?
Winston,
well, no. Hold on. The wide receiver that went from Phoenix City that went to Clemson.
Yeah. But we won a national championship in 2017. We lost to him as a freshman, but he's not in the NFL now. Most of those receivers that played on that 18 team for Alabama are in the NFL. Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, and what's the other guy? Well, he had a mishap. He's in Nevada now, but I don't think you're on par there.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, I don't think you're on par. I didn't want to say his name. I knew who he was.
Oh, okay. And you know what? And he made a mistake, man. He made a mistake.
Yeah.
And it was a big mistake.
I just said he's in Nevada now.
I know. I saw that somebody reshared the speech that Nick Saban gave about Henry Ruggs the other day, and I thought, man, all it takes.
I think Henry's contrite. He I just hate it.
All right.
I hate it.
Cowboy, I'm out of time right here. Give me a Kalen DeBoer grade, year number 1. Cowboy, Professor Cowboy.
Incomplete. I can't evaluate him. Give me a body of work to evaluate.
Oh, he's 9-3.
He's never had more than 2 years at a major college football program. Fresno State in Washington.
Well, shouldn't that be a
2 years.
positive? I mean, all right.
How could that be a positive? He can't stay anywhere long.
Oh,
he's kind of like hiring.
He could have stayed at UW, but he chose to go to the University of Alabama.
Ryan,
Cowboy.
He's kind of like hiring the hot basketball coach right now in the NCAA tournament.
You were like,
give me the eye test of his body of work.
All right, we will
at Alabama.
Well, call me back next year and we'll see. All right.
4 years. 4 years is a evaluation.
Despite what Joseph said a couple of minutes ago, Alabama football, Jalen Milroe has named the Pop Warner Award football. First time in program history. He's the recipient of the Pop Warner Little Scholars College Football Award, which is announced by the Pop Warner Little Scholars Incorporated on Thursday. Milroe was one of the 3 finalists. All right. Mark in Shreveport. Mark, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, what's going on, Ryan?
Good. I hope you're doing well.
Good. Stuff down here in LSU country.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart, Mark.
I just wanted to give Kalen DeBoer an A.
An A, okay. Why an A?
Yes, sir. I think he's done a good job. We got to give him 3 years.
Amen.
Get his people in there.
Yep.
His players and all that. I also want to give Bama Nick and Joseph a grade.
Okay. Bama Nick gets a grade? Okay.
Bama Nick a F minus.
Okay.
And Joseph a F minus.
All right. So now you got to be careful because Bama Nick's after you. So you are you ready for this, Mark?
Yeah, he's lit up about now, though.
Oh yeah, he's toe up from the ground up.
That's right.
All right.
Anyway, that's all I got. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Let's go to Bama Nick. Bama Nick, you got an F minus from Mark in Shreveport.
Waiting on my song, fella. Then I'll tell you what I think about Arkansas. I know I'm going to get my little 2 minutes, fella.
I'll live as one. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bama Nick. An F minus from Mark in Shreveport.
I'll tell you that right now. Where the hell is he coming from anyway? Shreveport, Louisiana. He's a buzzard caller, fella.
We're not giving anything away, so he can't be a buzzard caller.
Yeah, fella. He's a buzzard caller. They only call your show because they know Bama Nick's on the hold.
Yeah,
and that reminds me, fella, I'm giving your show, everybody's ranking DeBoer. I'm ranking you as a C on your show, and so is DeBoer. He's a C.
A C?
The only callers you had on today were for damn was Joseph, Digger, and myself, and JR, my drunk buddy over there in Coca. You had 4 callers on today is worth a damn. And them guests you had ain't worth a damn. They're the same old ones you have on there, and they don't know nothing. But they don't know no more than me and Tommy know more about.
What'd you think about Joseph going after Tommy Thunder?
Well, that's between Tommy Thunder and Joseph. I ain't getting in that mix. That's up to them to hash it out.
Do we need to have
another
caller hash out?
Yeah, caller hash out. That's between Tommy Thunder, Tommy from Romulus, and Joseph. That's their problems to hash it out. Like Jackson said, hash it out. Or Simon, whichever one's called. Hell, when I called today, I thought I was talking to Jackson. It was Simon. Simon sounded like he done been smoking in one.
Okay.
Sound like he was wore out.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time, Bama Nick. So you want to you going to give Kalen DeBoer?
We're going to put you ahead of other callers, and you didn't. You lied to me, fella. lied to me.
Well, I didn't lie to you. We just had to take them in order. We got to go.
No, you want to take
We
that
gotta
idiot
go.
from
We gotta go.
Freeport. That idiot from Freeport. Never heard of him before.
Well, he said he called in and said he wanted to compliment Bama Nick, and then
Yeah, shit. He didn't want to
all
compliment
right, we
me.
gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. We can't say that word. You can't say that word, Bama Nick. Marty, what grade would you give Kalen DeBoer?
Hey,
I'll tell you what, boy.
yeah. From where he started to the end. Now, everyone blaming Melrose. I got two questions, Ashton, and I'll talk about Melrose tomorrow.
Okay.
Number one, what's the most hated high school that everybody wants to beat in Alabama?
Thompson, Hoover. I mean, because they're winners.
Okay, all right, that's
They're
fine.
winners.
All right, what's the most hated school? What's the most hated school in the 40s that everybody wanted to beat? Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. In the 50s were
Now-
Oklahoma. Yeah.
All right, and well, it's still Notre Dame in the thing. All right, who's the most hated school since Bear Bryant till the end now that everybody wants to beat? Alabama.
Alabama.
They stick a circle on it right now, and that's just like us going to Oklahoma. That coach knows he had that circle, and it was Melrose's fault. It was the whole coach's fault not having the team excited to play. They came out there uninspired, but I blame that on the coaches, not Melrose playing the way he played. It's not on him. It's a team effort.
Okay.
The whole team was down.
Okay.
And
I got to
everybody
run,
wants to
Marty.
come
I'm
from
out
Melrose.
of time. I said I only had like 1 minute. I'm sorry. My show ends at 6.
All right,
I know
I'll
you
call-
called
I'll call
early. I'm
around
sorry,
Fox
man.
Station if I have to
All
wait
right,
for 2.
we got to run. Steven, give me a grade for Kalen DeBoer, and I've only got like 30 seconds.
C plus, Ryan.
C plus for.
Yeah. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt knocked it. I would have been a B plus, but C plus because of Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. But I do believe he did as best as he could with some of the cards he was dealt. So, roll Tide, Ryan.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you, man. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. Big thanks to Simon. Big thanks to Jackson. We want to thank our law enforcement officers, EMTs, firefighters, first responders, highway patrol. We thank you. We appreciate you. We remind you that we call this program The Game, and the only way that you win the big game, the game of life, is to walk daily